The following Toku Podcastu contains spoilers from both past and present tokusatsu, anime, manga, movies and other related media. If you do not wish to be spoiled, we suggest turning off the podcast now. Otherwise, please enjoy the show.
Hola y bienvenidos mis amigos, mis hermanos y mi raza a la Tokusatsu Podcastu, el mejor Tokusatsu podcast en el mundo. Y yo soy el chingón de Texas, el jefe de Tokusatsu, el único que puede hablar español japonés en la misma frase, Watashi wa AJ. Y aquí conmigo, como siempre, el esposo del tía de Owen Wilson, el pájaro más guapo y el cabrón de Machuchu, Jay.
Let me tell you something, brother. If you think this Lucha Mania is gonna be won by... I didn't have a script for that one. Let's do that one again. All right. It's live, Sid. No, fuck. Hello, everybody.
I was expecting you to go to what was it, like long ass time ago where we were just going on a racist rant with Hulk Hogan.
You know what? I wanted to do that, but I was like, you know what? Nah, that would be beating a dead horse. So.
I mean, Hulk Hogan already looks like a dead horse.
Oh, that's true. That's true. He
got
does.
him. What is he gonna do? He's got like death.
We love you, Terry, but I mean, come on, man. You haven't looked good since like the mid '90s. Let's be real.
I mean, saying that is kind of generous.
I mean, I am being generous, yeah.
So yes, if you can't tell from that exquisite intro, where most people probably won't even know what I'm saying.
I picked up on like every other word. Every other sentence, basically.
Oh, so you picked up on how I said you were the husband of the aunt of Owen Wilson? That's going to be one of those jokes that keeps popping up that no one really gets where it's
Nobody's
from.
going to get it because, like, I don't fucking get it. It's a joke about me, and I understand the context.
I get the joke, and I still don't get the joke.
Exactly. I am the joke, and I don't get the joke.
Well, I mean, hey, it's a nice change of face from Phil.
That is true. That is true.
So speaking of which, as always, he got filtered from this show, as he is a pleb who doesn't understand. So what are we doing today?
He couldn't handle the raw emotion of lucha.
Dude, to be fair, you probably do that accent a lot better than he would. He would probably start trying to like roll his R's. You start sounding like.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just ragging on you, Phil, because it's funny. Just so you know.
I mean, he gave it a shot. He at least watched a few episodes. That's more than we expected.
He said he was getting into it for a bit.
Yeah. And
then he just kind of got filtered.
Oh well.
And yes, that is filtered with a PHIL.
I mean, filtered already has an IL in it, so are you're just adding an extra, so it's Phil Iltered now.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trademarking that. So today we are doing something a little different and it took us a long time because shit happens. So something a little different this time around. We are doing Lucha Underground. What the fuck is Lucha Underground? It's like if people just gave up the ghost about wrestling, and instead of doing like live backstage stuff, it was an actual TV show, but they still had matches, and it's great. So how do we even get started?
The best way to explain it is it's like one of those absolutely insane telenovelas that you see at like the laundromat. But instead of, like, badly acted fight scenes, it's a full-on wrestling match. So, I mean, it has,
so
it has about
the
same level of quality, but there's better choreographing.
I mean, I'll give Dario Cueto his due. After his amazing stint on Jack and Jill, there's nowhere else to go but up.
That's right, he was in that movie.
Yes, he was. Hey, man, I don't know if I can feel bad about somebody who got Adam Sandler money. That guy just, like, throws money at people for his movies.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Dario Cueto's not a real person anyways, so I don't think he would feel better.
How do you know, Jay?
I don't, well, I mean, I don't, of course, but either way.
Comes across your house with a fucking stack of money, just slaps you.
He would do that.
He is that type of person. So, how do we, because obviously this is not a, because it does have typical show elements where it has plot progression and it has characters, but it's also very different where in the sense that it almost feels like this entire show is like a really long tournament arc with different mini arcs inside it. So it's really hard to really talk about singular things. I think we're just gonna have to go through it.
Isn't that what Hunter x Hunter is about? It's just one really long tournament arc, but there's little mini.
No, it's actually just Togashi forgetting to put pictures.
Well, I mean that's also what Hunter x Hunter is, but
it's people pretending that it's the greatest thing of all time when half of it's a novel. So, I'm gonna get it for that one.
What are they gonna do? What are the Hunter x Hunter fans gonna do? Take 3 months to send you a death threat?
I mean, that's faster than when Togashi makes a fucking chapter.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, they have better timing than he does.
You know, at this point, I'm just imagining one of these days, the Hunter x Hunter fan base is just gonna take all, because they're just this crazy. They're gonna take all the novels that Togashi has made, and they're gonna just actually put pictures of their own on it, because they're just that desperate. So enough ragging on sick people. Let's rag on dead people.
Yeah.
So I guess we just start with the characters because they're very simplistic characters. If you guys have never watched wrestling, it's very simplistic.
There are a few characters, quote unquote, outside of the wrestlers, of course, and you can't really talk about the wrestler characters without just explaining their entire personas and gimmicks. So I guess we'll talk about our two quote unquote main characters, our announce team. So we have on the left Matt Stryker, who is honestly pretty fucking cool.
He's awesome.
He is this weird like living database of just like knowledge and nerd shit. And it's not even like AJ left for a second. It's not even like he's like saying like the most basic shit. Like no, like he'll just go on like these long rambling deep cuts about like super in-depth wrestling history, or like he'll make some really fucking out there like comic book or nerd shit reference like early on. Yeah, he does a little like he goes a little obvious at some points, like these guys are like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like 2 weeks before the movie came out. Or he makes a comparison.
Oh, that's right.
Which is like the really the most topical reference he makes, actually. And like,
are you saying the multiple times he references the Bible at like some fucking crazy ass encyclopedic knowledge of it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Bible is always topical, but and then there's one time where I forget who he does. I think he compares like Johnny Mundo and Puma to Iron Man and Captain America, and it's like, nah, that one was kind of forced. I kind of get the idea he's going for, and like obviously it's like a haha Civil War just came out, kind of like you get it. But then other times he'll be like, he compares Dario Cueto to the fucking Beyonder, or there's a guy who's named like Sinestro de la something, and he makes a fucking Sinestro like Green Lantern reference, and there's a lot of other stuff that he just like, he goes like so fucking off kilter and just random, like you can tell like this is him genuinely trying to make a joke about something he likes, rather than just being like, here's a script, here's a topical joke, reference this thing.
It's quite literally like what when we just reference random ass shit that
Exactly.
no one's gonna get, but we get it.
Yeah, exactly. We're making the joke for us, and if you happen to laugh along, well then that's good.
And again, it's not even just like the comic book stuff. Like you mentioned earlier, he does a lot of really, really awesome just like you watch this and it's like, I didn't know that was called that, or oh, that's kind of interesting that's where it's from. And it's like, it's cool because I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy shit, I'm learning, and I'm not like wanting to shoot myself about it. Like, that's interesting.
I know, right?
He's a really interesting dude.
And then on the reverse side, our well, I say reverse side as in like the positioning, but I mean that literally as well. We have I guess technically our heel commentator, and our resident Lucha Libre expert, Vampiro.
The most Mexican Canadian you'll ever meet.
The most Mexican white man in the building. Vampiro is the whitest dude you can possibly get to talk about Lucha Libre. More than fucking Vampiro could be a guest at an albino convention. He'd still be the whitest dude in the room. So
I mean, it's true.
So,
the guy's name is Ian Hodgkinson. You're not gonna fucking tell me this guy is from fucking Tamaulipas here.
The man's wrestling name is literally the Canadian Vampire. Of course, he's the whitest guy possible.
I will say, granted, though, he does at least hold his own. It's just, I'm sorry, Vamp, if you're ever gonna hear this. I doubt you will. But the guy sounds drunk half the time.
I mean, you could tell like Vampiro is probably like only paying attention like a fourth of the time. Like there are parts where like Stryker will ask him a question and then it's just like silence. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was totally following along the match, dude. Yeah, it was just that good."
Oh, I'm just a fan, bro.
I'm
a fan
I'm
tonight,
a fan.
bro.
Like, yeah, he says that like 4 times. Like, I'm just a fan like the rest of you guys. I'm like, I believe it, but also you're Vampiro. See, I'm gonna say this right up front. I'm not a very big fan of Vampiro. I never have been. Not that I think he's a bad person necessarily. I mean, he kind of was back in the day, but that was the 90s. Who wasn't awful during the wrestling period of the 90s?
I mean, it's true.
My issues with Vampiro is that less him personally and like a lot of what he kind of brought to the industry is he's kind of one of like the first major guys who substituted actual in-ring talent for an eagerness to maim and mutilate himself. And while he can still hold his own in a match and on the mic, I mean, he's a decent wrestler, but he was nowhere near as good as his popularity lended it, and that's kind of why I've never been a big fan of Vampiro.
I can see that.
And he's all right here. I like, again, much like Stryker, I like it when he goes on these like weird rambly tangents about lucha history and like the culture and like these these long-lasting family feuds with like lucha families, and he'll like bring up some random trivia fact about like the Guerreros or Blue Demon or whoever, and it's like, oh cool, I didn't know that. He's showing his history here. Makes sense. He kind of got big because of Lucha Libre, even though he's not technically a luchador. Well, I mean, he kind of is. He's not like a masked luchador, but you get the idea.
It is kind of cool though that like a lot of the little trivia tidbits that he gives to like Blue Demon and the Guerreros, a lot of them are actually still in kayfabe. Like they're 100% in kayfabe. They're not like, he's not telling you about, oh yeah, they were born in here. No, he's telling you straight up like, it's almost like he's reading a chapter of a story that we haven't seen yet, and I really like that.
And that's an element I like too, is that like even the commentators, even though they don't have to really be in kayfabe, they're treating the kayfabe reality of the show real. I mean, like, again, our powers that be, Dario Cueto is not technically a real person, and like whenever some shit happens behind the scenes, they happen to hear about it. They're acting like it's real. I mean, of course that's normal in the wrestling, is the commentators act like everything is real. But I like that too, is that they treat like these grand family histories and all these backstage feuds as like 100% true. And most of the time they are true, but
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that like they stick to that character of everybody, and they stick to it well, and I really like that aspect as well.
I was about to say, because another part that I thought you mentioned was the part where a lot of the stuff that happens behind the scenes with Dario Cueto, and even just behind the backstage stuff and everything like that, we're made to think as the audience that these commentators have literally no idea what's going on. They don't know that happened, or they don't know that this match was made. And they'll be like, oh, we just found out about it when everybody else in the temple found out about it. And I kind of like that, because so often in wrestling, we'll see shit backstage, and we'll be like, why is there just a camera guy back there? Like, I get it, that's just how wrestling is nowadays. But really, that's always one of those things where it's like, why is a camera guy just happen to be in the locker room where someone's getting dressed? I mean, like, was he there the whole time? Is he just being a voyeur? It's like, no, so. You don't know. It's like, they don't know.
Exactly. And I on one hand, I really like that aspect because it allows for the kind of the mystery of the plot to play itself out in a realistic fashion where, of course, naturally, we, the audience, are getting to see the behind-the-scenes stuff, but, you know, the guys sitting in the arena or the announcers or, hell, any other wrestlers who aren't involved in the segments, obviously they wouldn't know what's going on. And I like that element there, too, where, you know, obviously, you know, this wrestler's not going to know that somebody's going to sneak up on them and interrupt the match because they weren't watching behind-the-scenes segments like us in the audience.
They weren't watching TV.
No. And on another hand, I feel like that's kind of like a misstep with the production where less so for like a viewer at home and more if you went there live. Like a lot of the plot lines kind of forward through the backstage segments, and that's also a thing that's been in regular wrestling for years now. And, you know, if you, a live viewer who paid to go see this, don't get on those segments, then you're not going to have any of the fucking clue what the hell's going on, you know, between episodes here. You know, you go to one taping, and, Johnny Mundo and Prince Puma, they're friends. And then next week, oh, what the fuck, they're enemies now. What the fuck's going on? Why has he betrayed them? What's going on? You know, that's just an example, of course. There's other instances, like, too, that, like the stuff with, one of the kind of quote-unquote major villains, Big Rick. Like, he fucking comes back.
Big Rick!
He disappears for a while, and then he comes back, and, you know, as, like, a live viewer, oh, shit, he's back, holy crap, this is a surprise. But, you know, viewing at home, you already knew that he was coming back because he's already had 3 promos leading up to this point. And on one hand, that's, like, a good idea. On the other hand, that's a bad idea because you're missing out on the full experience if you're watching it live. And really, that, you know, obviously us viewing that in the future that's less of an issue, but I think that's like a misstep with the production there.
See, it's going to sound weird, but from what I remember, and again, someone can very much correct me on this. From what I remember, I think most of the people that were there were actually crew and extras. They were not actual fans.
I guess that makes sense.
They were signed in to like be extras in the crowd, which is why you kind of see a lot of like people that are usually there, and of course some of them are just indie wrestlers that they just got from around the area and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, yeah, the crowd there are a lot of repeat crowd members, but I mean, in another instance, that's not necessarily like, oh, obviously it's an extra or whatever. I mean, you know, this is a local promotion showing from one single arena every week. Obviously, you know, a dedicated fan's going to be there every week. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the same time, like, oh, yeah, these are very obviously the same crowd members in the same seats as they were every other single week. That's getting a little suspicious.
True. And again, I can kind of see that. But, again, I don't know about you, but I didn't really pay attention to the crowd that. I mean, I noticed it when they got close to the crowd and stuff, when, like, the crowd was part of the show. But at the same time, I'm like, I wouldn't really notice, like, oh, hey, there's that fat dude again. It's like, oh, he just looks like my uncle.
I only
like
noticed
half
it
of the
a
other
few
people
times. There's a couple instances where it gets really noticeable. Like, there's this one guy in the audience who always, like, shouts really loud to make, like, a comment on the match, and it's always the same fucking guy every episode.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He'll be like, "Come on, Dario," or like, "Get ahead of the game." Fucking, I don't know.
Big Rick.
Yeah, he's like, or yeah, he insults Big Rick, or he's like, "Get your head in the game, Drago," or, you know, shit like that. And it's always the same fucking guy.
He's the same dude who tried to get the chant of Little Rick over. Yeah. I'm just like, really? That's the best you got?
And you know what? The crowd being extras makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of elements in, like, with the crowd that gets a little suspicious, like how every single fucking match they're chanting "This is awesome" over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It gets like, sure, okay, this match is pretty baller. At the same time, these guys are doing the same shit we saw them do in the last match they had 2 weeks ago, and they're not doing it any more spectacular than last time. I don't know why you guys are cheering this loud. If you're a paid extra, then sure, it makes sense. That's your job. But if this was a real audience,
fan,
this is a little suspicious.
I mean, also, to be fair, I don't care who you are, but if you're running a wrestling promotion, you're not going to leave no guardrails on your fucking wrestlers.
No.
And you're not going to make them constantly be able to go into the crowd without some sort of security, unless you're just like some of the most indie of indie geeks that pays like $1 per ticket, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
that's not happening.
This isn't like CZW or anything here. This is a classy production. This has Robert Rodriguez money. So
classy, my ass. Jesus.
Yeah.
Most of their fucking props are rusted.
Well, you know what? That's the aesthetic. They're deliberately rusty. That's kind of
true, but still.
There's a difference.
Cueto's just like,
there's
fuck.
a difference between like your backyard garbage wrestling and also again CZW, where they're rusty because it's just some shit they pulled out of their garage from 20 years ago, and with Lucha Underground, where there's
and the show's being filmed in said garage.
Exactly. And then there's a difference between this, where the arena and the ring and all the props and everything, there's a deliberate aesthetic to them where they're made to look grungy, because that's the idea. It's the secret underground wrestling competition that has a show on television. And
that someone brought Little Billy to.
Yeah, is advertised far and wide and has a giant fucking billboard of their logo above their
No, not just that. Dario Cueto himself was just like, if you want tickets, you gotta buy them online. It's like, you're selling these things online?
Oh, yes.
You have an illegal fight club and
This
you're selling
secret
tickets
illegal
online?
fight club that buys shit online and pays through PayPal. Yeah, fucking. That's one of that's one of the thing. That's one of those aspects you don't really think about unless you're like, you're deliberately trying to be like an asshole, like us. Yes, unless you're deliberately trying to be like us and try to find things to nitpick. And I'm not necessarily nitpicking. These are reasonable elements here.
Just being smartasses.
Exactly. This is a wrestling show. Kayfabe is everything here, and there are these little elements that kind of break you from kayfabe, and that's a natural thing to make a criticism of when you're talking about a wrestling show. It'd be one thing if this was entirely filmed and this was entirely scripted, like it was a Sentai show, and we're pointing out like, oh, there's the dude on the trampoline that they forgot to cut out a post, or oh, here's some tape on the sword or whatever. Because on one hand, yeah, sure, that's shit you have to notice, but on the other hand, those are just natural flubs of the filming environment that sometimes you can't avoid. Whereas this is trying to sell you that everything that's happening is 100% authentic and real, and these are elements that kind of lose the reality there a little bit.
True, but at the same time, I'm able to be a bit more forgiving of it, because I know it's at the end of the day, I know that it's still supposed to be very kayfabe, and I can kind of accept it because, I mean, to be fair, I've watched wrestling for I don't know how many years, so I know some shit you just accept. Accept that
absolutely.
It's dumb as fuck.
After and again, these aren't things that like I'm like, oh, this completely ruined the experience. It's like it's one of those things that every now and then that would pop up back in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, what the fuck is up with that? That's so weird, isn't it? And then I would forget about it because somebody did a swan dive off the top of the roof, and oh my god, that was so fucking cool. How are they still alive?
Dario Cueto has to pay a lot of insurance for these fucking tetanus shots.
I am surprised Dario Cueto pays anything for insurance considering his budget.
I'm surprised he pays them at all.
Exactly. The first fucking story arc was him offering $100,000 and him refusing to fucking pay for week after week after week because he's an asshole. That was our first major story arc, by the way.
But see that even then he still pays it in the end.
He still ends up paying it because he got threatened to have his testicles removed through his mouth, but that's besides the point.
By Big Rick.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna stop laughing about his name, dude.
Dude, Big Rick is hilarious because he is the shittiest villain. He is literally just like, he is that goon villain that you always see in like drama and like crime dramas. He is the hired muscle who has no personality other than punch, and he is like one of our primary heels of this show. And somehow he kind of gets over because like he has like for one, he sucks, but also he has like an actual story arc where like, oh, he's the top dog villain, and then he gets betrayed, and then he comes back with a vengeance, and then he just kind of meanders around and like joins a shitty tag team, and then betrays like 4 people in the span of 2 episodes, and like
your final ECW champion here, people.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna stop laughing at the fact that this guy was the final ECW champion, and here he is with a fucking eye patch.
I mean, you know what? Hey, he rocked that eye patch. It was pretty.
Yeah, he did. It kind of looked cool when he was like smoking cigars and shit.
Yeah,
that was actually
he
pretty
looked like
baller.
I loved the Big Boss-esque, like, I mean, Big Rick, Big Boss, yeah.
He started really getting it when he started growing out that beard and shit. And I'm just like, damn, dude, he actually kind of looks badass.
Absolutely.
But it's too bad he's gonna get fucking jobbed out by Sexy Star.
Yeah, too bad he exists to lose at this point now.
His existence is lost. So we should talk about some of the wrestlers, because some of the wrestlers do have character arcs, such as the entire season he was basically, until the end, he was our champion, Prince Puma, aka Ricochet, for you people who don't know who Prince Puma is.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have a personality really.
I thought he seemed a little familiar with his style there. Well, he doesn't have a personality because he doesn't fucking say anything.
Wait, Jay, are you saying you didn't recognize him from the big tattoo that says Ricochet on it?
Listen, I wasn't paying attention to the tattoos.
The ginormous fucking tattoo on
Listen,
his
AJ,
chest.
this fucking torrent was like barely 480p. I could barely read it half the time, all right?
I mean, yeah, but to be fair, he kind of does have that silent personality that I kind of like. Like, he doesn't have much because he doesn't say shit. Literally nothing the entire season. It's kind of surprising.
He's never given a chance to talk, and every time he does get a chance, they interrupt it. And that's like a running joke, of course, and that's funny. Like, early on, he's got a thing where he's got a manager, and his manager is, of course, Conan. And like Conan does all the talking for him, and like every time he tries to get a chance to talk, Conan will just talk for him. And like the one fucking time where Conan is indisposed and he's actually given a chance to talk, somebody does a run-in and interrupts him being able to talk anyways. Which I thought that was funny. I thought that was a good little running bit.
I liked him. I think he was one of those, because again, a lot of wrestlers in this show don't speak. Like, Drago only started speaking until like the very end.
Drago didn't start speaking until after he got banished and removed from the production, and then came back anyways, because this is wrestling and getting banned or fired is completely meaningless.
I mean, people fucking die, and it was still
fucking, like, there's Pentagon Jr. who runs around destroying people's arms, and for some reason he never gets any kind of comeuppance or...
Because I guess Dario Cueto just gets off on that.
I mean, I guess he must have to. I mean, considering he's probably paying for all these guys' insurance for their fucking broken arms.
No, he's not. He's paying for shit. You're on your own, buddy.
Tough shit, Superfly.
Then we got Johnny Mundo Nitro Impact Morrison in this show, who is Johnny Mundo Impact Nitro Morrison from everything you've seen him in. Though I will say he does fit amazingly well in this production because, one, he's not a good actor, but two, he has the look of like that shitty B-list era of action movies from the 80s look. And he just comes off like that, and it's just perfect for him. It's perfect. Oh, yeah. He's a bad actor, but he's perfect for that role.
I mean, he does pretty good with what he's given. I mean, not...
Oh, just wait till season 2 and they have him sing his own theme song.
Ugh. I mean, granted, nobody's going to be winning Oscars in this kind of production. This is pro wrestling acting anyways.
True.
But I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty enjoyable. They kind of lose an idea of what to do with his character around like the halfway mark, where once Puma becomes champion, Mundo kind of like loses his like rivalry with him, and then he's just kind of like they can't really find what the fuck to do with him. He keeps like popping up here and there, and just like nothing sticks with him.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for it because he really, like you said, like after he loses Puma, there really is nothing. Like, he kind of just moves around from feud to feud. Like, first it was Cuerno, and then it was El Patron, who we'll get to right now. Yeah. And it's just like, he really has nothing. I mean, granted, that's kind of what happens to a lot of the guys here who weren't part of the main story arc. so they kind of got over more on the matches. Which, let's go to the next guy, Drago, who I fucking love. Drago.
Drago
was fucking amazing.
Drago looks like a rejected side character from Guar, and Stryker says exactly the same thing. And oh my god, he's so good. He's such a great wrestler. It's surprising, honestly.
It's surprising that he's here and not somewhere bigger.
Exactly.
Because I mean that's how a lot of them are. Like Drago and shit, the guy that he gets the best of 5 series with Aerostar,
yeah.
like those motherfuckers, they put on a goddamn great series of matches. Like these guys are awesome.
That's the thing that I have about this show, and on one hand, it's one of the things I really like about this show, and on the other hand, it kind of leads to one of the bigger flaws, where this show does not have a particularly large roster. Like by the end, there are maybe like 15 or 18 different wrestlers at most, not counting like nameless jobbers who only had one match. Like nobody gives a shit about like Famous B or who the fuck was that one guy who won one of the medallions and was never in another match beforehand? It was like Kenny something or other.
Kenny.
I don't remember.
Jack Evans?
I think it was Jack Evans, yeah. I don't remember.
I thought we were going to talk about fucking Vinny Massaro over there. He looked like Balls Mahoney. That's the only reason I know he looked familiar. He does, dude.
But that's the thing, is that the show does not have a particularly large roster, and on one hand, that's good because the roster is almost entirely composed of either unknowns or rather, relatively established wrestlers in new gimmicks, so they are essentially new characters. And that's one of the better aspects too, is a lot of new promotions, both back in the day and even nowadays, they fall into this trap where they think that in order to get popular, in order to get, successful and over, they try to fill their roster to the brim with as many like old or established wrestlers as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And it's always their biggest flaw, because they always get the guys with the biggest egos who want the biggest paychecks, and that leads to them taking control of the production, and that leads to them just completely demolishing it, because that leads their newer and underexposed talent just getting completely demolished and squashed. Because now their new bread and butter, the guys that they should be selling on, their new established ranks, they're getting completely demolished, and then now you have these older guys, trying to live out their glory days, completely destroying your promotion, and it just leads to a confusing mess that nobody cares about.
Yeah, because
I was trying to say TNA, but I started coughing.
Sorry. When you coughed, I heard AEW and just heard the same thing, really.
Well, you know what? AEW is also
fucking
true.
Admit it, you fucking money marks.
Anyways,
I'll talk to you later when Sting wins the fucking world title in a year. But like I was gonna say, like it's funny when you say that, because like when I really think about it, the most established star that America would know, because a lot of these guys might be over in like maybe Japan, maybe Mexico. Like I know obviously Blue Demon, Chavo Guerrero, all those guys, they're over in Mexico, but not here. Like find me one person in America who knew the fuck Tejano was, or Mascaritas, or Pimpinela. Like they don't know who these guys are.
No.
So I'm really happy that they bring them in. And the fun thing is that, as we were saying earlier about Matt Stryker, like mentioning the history of these guys, they're not treating you like, oh, these guys are completely new and have never wrestled anywhere. But also they don't just be like, oh, you guys should know who these guys are. Do your own research. They'll give you enough to be like, all right, I'm into this, and then they let the wrestlers themselves do the fucking talking, and it works really, really well. Cause before this, I did not. Well, I mean, I knew who he was, because I actually did follow a little bit of this back when it first aired. But before it originally aired, I didn't know who Pentagon Jr. was, and after this, I'm like, dude, fucking Pentagon Jr. is fucking amazing. He's badass as shit.
He's so good, yeah.
He's fucking based as shit, dude.
And AJ, you said what I was about to say as well, where especially more so early on, where basically nobody that the average American viewer would know is in this show at all. Like the most established guy from the first episode that an American audience would know is fucking Chavo Guerrero. And Chavo Guerrero is not exactly the most popular wrestler here. Like, let's be honest.
But he
here.
was an ex-CCW champion.
Listen, AJ. let me put it for those of you who aren't like major wrestling fans in our audience. I'm gonna use an example here that also some of you aren't gonna get anyways, but enough people will understand. In the terms of the greater sphere of the Guerrero family, let's say you have Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero is Superman. And then you have Eddie's father and his uncle, his brother, the bigger Guerreros, but who never were as mainstream. And they're like Batman or the Flash or Green Lantern or whoever. Chavo is like fucking Green Arrow. And that's not an insult to either Chavo or Green Arrow, because they're both relatively good characters, and they both have their fans and their following. But nobody gives a shit about Green Arrow other than like Green Arrow fans. He is like nobody knows who he is unless you're like really into comics, basically. And that's basically who Chavo.
I thought you were gonna go for something even more insulting than that. To
no. I mean, like fucking like Juventud Guerrero was more popular than Chavo was back in their heyday. Like, nobody gives a shit about Chavo, but he's still the most popular wrestler and the most recognizable wrestler out of their roster. To
be fair, where I thought you were going with this, you were gonna start listing off like people in like Superman's families. Like, you got Superman, you got Superboy, and then you got Chavo as Crypto.
No. Crypto would be too nice, Chavo. Crypto would be Supergirl's horse that wanted to fuck Supergirl. That's a thing, by the way. Supergirl had a talking horse that wanted to fuck her. But that's besides the point.
I guess we're reading Berserk now.
No. Mierda, you hack.
Jesus Christ.
But no. So, and again, like AJ said, Blue Demon is, basically the second most famous masked luchador in history. Well, okay, Blue Demon Sr. was. Blue Demon Jr. is not exactly as popular, but they're basically the same guy. But the average American viewer, unless you're really, really, really into Lucha Libre, you're not going to fucking know who he is. And even then, he's only in like 3 episodes at most. So the show's roster is basically filled with either unknowns or dudes under new personas, so you basically wouldn't know who they are. And that's one of the good things, too, is that, again, you don't have these established guys, so you're not leaning on them for your matches, so you don't let their egos take control of the production. But at the same time,
definitely.
An average viewer isn't going to know who half these guys are, so they're going to be like, I don't want to watch this. This doesn't sound cool. I want to see what Sting is doing. This is 2014, so I don't think he retired yet, but he wasn't really doing anything.
I think this is right in the middle of him getting his neck broken by Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Well. So still, that's one of the that's one of the upsides and one of the downsides of the production is your cast is mostly unknowns, and that allows everybody to shine equally, and there's no ego, there's nobody jockeying for promotion, and obviously the more
no more for me, brother.
Exactly. You don't get anything like that. And that's, again, on one side, that's really good because that allows everybody to kind of grow naturally, and they get to pick out who exactly is really deserving of the spotlight. On the other hand, this one leads the show rather end up being somewhat buried until later on, and 2, the smaller roster leads to them repeating a lot of matches. A lot of matches end up getting repeated with the same guys, and they kind of exhaust all of their really special stuff and their cooler spots relatively quickly. So it ends up being them kind of repeating a lot of stuff, especially more so near the end. And it gets a little bit dull, and it drags a little bit during the middle part. And I think that's one of the weaker aspects of the show as well. Especially when it gets to the part where, like, they're deliberately having rematches every other episode. So where it's like, okay, we just saw this fucking match. Can we get something new, please?
Yeah, and I think, if anything, this is what I was thinking, like, if anything, you should have left certain matches, like, the whole thing with Cuerno and Mundo. I think what you could have done is have a little bit more backstage things, where there you could have more of, like, okay, you're gonna build it more on again, I know because the audience, but again, we're still under the impression, because I'm assuming that the audience are paid extras anyways. So you could have had more like, oh, they're having fights backstage, or they're building it up backstage, and don't put them on the show for like 2-3 weeks in the ring, but keep them in backstage stuff. Like, hey, there's Mundo and Cuerno talking shit, hey, and then next week there's Cuerno and Mundo throwing fists at each other. Or even, until Dario's just like, yo, what the fuck? Just get in the fucking cage.
Even then, you could do like, you could have, one or the other do like a run-in after their match, and that's when they start causing trouble. And even then, there you have the aspect of, well, now the live audience gets to see it too, so now they can experience it. And you also have the backstage stuff, so the viewers at home can catch it too. That's another thing too, is that like a lot of feuds just kind of come out of nowhere, because even when we get backstage stuff, we don't get anything that kind of sets up a lot of feuds other than like the major ones. Obviously there's Mil Muertes and Puma, and then there's Big Rick and Da Crew, and against fucking whoever the fuck Dario decides is going to be the villain that week. And that's fine, but at the same time that also leads, again, like I'm saying, a lot of matches end up getting kind of repeated, and it gets a little stale after a while. But again, I like the fact that the cast is mostly unknowns. Until about halfway through, when fucking Alberto Del Rio shows up, Alberto El Patron shows up.
Yes, Alberto El Patron, taking a break from his AAA responsibilities, like being the mega champion and beating his wife. Oh, sorry, that's not part of his contract. That's just the weekend.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because him being the mega champion.
I thought you were going to say if it's funny that he's beating his wife.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that on recording. It's funny that you say that, because him being the AAA mega champion and then him just ditching the promotion to go slum it at Lucha Underground is actually a part of the story, because he's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna do this because I don't care, because I'm the fucking champion. What are you gonna do about it? And then the former champion and his rival Tejano shows up, and then he also just kind of hangs around and starts slumming it there too. He doesn't even he has like 2 matches with Alberto to try to get the title back. And then they throw him off to go fuck with like Johnny Mundo or whoever else. It's so weird, and it's kind of baffling, but I love it too, because he just sorry, my chair. Fucking literally, Dario's sitting there at his desk with a fucking like drink in his hand, like, oh, my fucking head. I'm gonna deal with these fucking wrestlers. And then he just walks to the door. It's like, did somebody say wrestler? And you have the fucking laugh track play and everything, basically.
I mean, and it's even funnier to me, because for those of you who don't know, because I didn't fucking know, the Mega Champion is the championship of AAA. So AAA basically just lost their fucking world champion to some indie promotion. That's some shit right there.
It'd be let me put it like this again, for those of you who are completely, baffled at what we're talking about. It'd be like if John Cena, when he still had the belt, fucking just decided to leave the WWE and just go to like, I don't know, fucking like Impact Wrestling, or like, again, he goes to some fucking garage show basically and starts performing. It'd be like that. That's basically what happens.
Yeah, and it's so weird too, because like they try and the first are trying to like big it up, like, oh my god, he's the mega champion of AAA. Oh my fucking god. Then they have one match for the belt, and then just like, oh yeah, he's still champ. I guess.
It's like, oh yeah. I guess why is he still here? Why? Did anybody...
I think at one point Matt Striker actually was like, what the fuck is he still doing here?
Yeah, he's like, doesn't he have better things to do? Like, I get it was like one match, like, okay, if it was just like the one match, just like as like a cameo basically, all right, that's one thing. But then you're like, yeah, they have the one big match there for the AAA belt, and then he just hangs around until the finale. I mean, okay, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do? Take the belt away from him? I mean, they could do that, but that's, whatever. You get the idea.
He wouldn't give it back.
No, exactly.
I had to clean it first. I've done too much coke off of it.
You know what? That's funny too, because I love it where Del Rio's first major in-ring performance, performance quote unquote, is him doing this big rant about like how fucking cool he is, and like he has this moment where he talks shit about like, oh, when I was in American promotions, they loved to promote me, but then they stabbed me in the back and betrayed me, so I said fuck America. Obviously he's talking about when WWE fired him because he beat up an intern because the intern allegedly said something offensive to him and that they couldn't prove, and that he couldn't prove they said, but he still he still obviously beat the shit out of an intern. Which is like, on one hand, like, okay, that makes sense in character for him, but on the other hand, like, I mean, come on, man, you're not fooling anybody.
Well, that's the thing, he's never out of character.
Well, I mean, that's fair, yeah.
He lives the gimmick, brother.
Still, the point is that it's funny because, like, if you know what he's talking about, if you kind of, like, if you know a lot of, like, the backstage history behind him personally, or you're just aware of who he is, you know what he's talking about, and you know that he's full of shit, but also it makes sense in kayfabe, and also because that, that's just him in real life. It makes sense with his character because, yes, he would, of course, pretend like he didn't do anything wrong when he beat the shit out of some intern.
To be fair, watching this show now, and we're going to get to two others that we have to talk to as well. Watching this show now, it is funny as fuck to see Alberto Del Patron talk all this shit, and then literally just last week, some fucking article comes out with an interview of him saying, "Oh yeah, I just talked to Triple H the other day. He totally wants me to come back, bros."
Dude, not even like last week. He fucking went back to WWE like 2 years later.
It's the funniest thing because it's like I'm watching this and he's like, "Oh yeah, I totally want to go back," and they're like, and even Triple H is like, "What the fuck? No, we don't. We don't want you anywhere near here. The last time you were here, you almost beat the shit out of some poor British chick."
I think it's funny too because on one hand, the proverb of there are no burned bridges in wrestling, of course, but on the other hand, like, it's funny how much he's like, "Man, fuck these guys. I'm done with them. I never want to come back." Literally the next year he's back there again. Like nothing happened.
It's great.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
That's why wrestling is great, because you don't get shit like this in any other kind of television show.
You don't, man. You don't get this carny bullshit. No. It's the funniest fucking thing. So besides Alberto El Patron, who else we got? We got. Oh, you know what? We got to talk about the big boy, Pentagon Jr. My fucking man right here. We got to talk about him and Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because those two steal this goddamn show.
Well, there's Pentagon and Phoenix out of our wrestlers. I think we should also talk about Dario, but we can save him for last. Because I have things I want to say about Dario. So let's do Phoenix, because I think Pentagon has more to say. Phoenix is actually a really good wrestler, and it's... Oh, excuse me. It's a little surprising because he's pretty much introduced with no fanfare, and he kind of... I think he loses his first match, actually, now that I think about it.
I think so.
He kind of starts off as just like he's just another guy, and he kind of ends up building himself up to be one of the top dudes of the show, and honestly, like, props to him, man. I genuinely did not see that coming.
I will say this, too. I like how a lot of the gimmicks, like Drago, Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., Mil Muertes, I like how they keep those gimmicks and they make them part of their lore, essentially, and they become part of their arcs. Like how we're going to talk about Mil Muertes and Phoenix's rivalry. They basically say outright, like, no, Phoenix technically is like, at least in this show, he's kayfabe a real Phoenix. Like, they've killed him off a couple of times, and apparently he's always come back.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better. I mean,
shit, dude. He literally, like, his fucking costume changes to, like, look like he has a power up every fucking week. It's great.
Yeah, he has a new fucking mask every other episode. It's so good.
Like, honestly, with fucking Ultima Lucha, it's like, oh shit, he hit his fucking final form. He's like all white and gold now. It's fucking great.
It's so good. I really liked Phoenix's style. I thought he was one of the, technically speaking, I think he was one of the better wrestlers of the show. he's another guy who kind of just flounders a little bit early on until after that. I don't remember if it was before or after the first kind of major defeat of Mil Muertes. I think it was after his first match with Puma, where Puma beat him in the casket match, and he got casketed. And then he just comes back because fuck you, he's Mil Muertes.
Wait, no, Phoenix beat him.
No, was it?
The Grave Consequences match was Phoenix
Was
and
that Phoenix?
Mil Muertes.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that... No, that's right, because... No, I was getting that confused with another match. They give Mil Muertes a feud with Puma early on, and Puma does beat him in one match, but then they kind of just give him to Phoenix for no particular reason, and honestly, he works out a little bit better with Phoenix because they just go so fucking insane with their match. It's so good.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, there's a reason why I have one of those matches on my list. It's like fucking awesome.
Legitimately, like, one of the most disturbing matches of the show because it is just Mil Muertes legitimately trying to fucking murder him.
It kind of looked like a shoot, like you just trying to fucking kill this guy.
Honestly a little, like, I don't want to say disgusting. It's kind of just hard to watch near the end. Like, you've got Phoenix, like, covered head to toe in blood. His mask is in tatters, barely.
Which I must say right now, that's probably one of the coolest reasons to wear a mask because that just looks cool. It looks cool when like you're bleeding and your mask is all ripped and shit.
He's got the mask like busted open and it's like barely hanging on around his neck, and his head is just soaked with blood, and you can almost just barely not see his face through everything, and he's still somehow going. This man should, by all accounts, be dead. But he's a Phoenix.
It's so good.
It's so good. And it's great because even then, he still manages to hold his own against... Mil Muertes is basically just the Undertaker except a luchador. And I'm not going to... that's not an insult to either the Undertaker or Mil Muertes. But also at the same time, he is just kind of that, I am the supernatural evil, I cannot be defeated kind of character. And he doesn't really have much of a personality other than I will crush you, which is fine. That works as like the evil malignant force of wrestling. And they even kind of do like the rest. The Undertaker had the magic urn that Paul Bearer carried around. Mil Muertes has a magic rock. And
let me explain this. So Mil Muertes, aka I got buried under an entire building. And now my superpowers come from a rock from that same building I was buried under.
That I was crushed in that killed my family, which I don't fucking want to know what kind of bullshit they were smoking when they decided that. Okay. So I understand him getting caught. I think it was like an earthquake or whatever. I understand him getting buried in his house and him surviving, and and he goes kind of crazy because his family was killed and he survived. Why the fuck did that make him immortal? Why the fuck did that make part of the ruins of his home magic? Why does that magic part of the brick give him superpowers?
Because El Santo versus vampires. That's why.
You know what? It would be El Santo's fault.
Could you imagine it? Oh, dude, I wish that guy was still alive. That'd be amazing.
Oh my god!
Just comes out of fucking nowhere. He's like the Nexus of fucking Lucha Underground. Just comes in whenever and just fixes shit.
I mean, you know what? They kind of have that on like. There's like Chavo early on, and then they have Da Crew, and there's like I guess like Blue Demon kind of near the end, and whatever.
But it's cool because like, again. I'm just gonna assume there was some mystic Aztec bullshit in that fucking building or something. It was built on an Aztec burial ground.
Yeah, the house had part of like an Aztec temple built into it, and that got buried, and the blood from the sacrifices pooled into the whatever of Muertes, and what the fuck was his real name? It was like Pascal.
It's like something.
something or other.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my question isn't how he became immortal. Is where the fuck did Katrina come from?
Yeah, where the fuck did he get the sexy lady sidekick? Why?
Because to me, the way she explained it was, oh, I found him in there. It's like, so this full-grown woman found this child and was like, all right, I'm gonna make you like this evil murderous monster. So that must mean she's fucking immortal too.
I mean, I guess
She doesn't
so.
age.
Like, why the like? What I want to know is why the fuck was she so obsessed with licking people? I get it. You know, I get like, I mean, of course, yes.
That's why.
You know, I get the idea of, oh, you've heard of the kiss of death. Well, here's the French tongue licking of death. Like, what the fuck? Who are you? What is with you?
Look, I don't know. You're asking questions about an immortal woman who carries around a rock.
I guess she's immortal. We don't know.
I'm assuming dude, she's got powers. You know that.
Yeah,
she teleports.
She can fucking teleport, I guess. And then she can like I think she shoots lightning at one point, or I think that was like it was just a bad effect. And then
just imagine if that was just really coincidental. Oh, that was cool.
Where the fuck did Muertes' minions come from? He just
dude, those are I don't know. They're like dead people he brought to life or something.
But why? Why?
Because it's cool.
Why did they need masks? Why the fuck?
So you don't know that two of them are wrestlers that were already there?
Why the fuck are they controlled by the stone? They don't have any connection to the stone.
Oh no, don't. Because Katrina licked them, I guess.
But
you're thinking about an immortal. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just say right now. Somehow those were like 3 dead people she also found in the rubble.
You know what?
And she decided to keep them.
Fine, whatever.
I mean, let's be honest. That Grave Consequences match, who the fuck were all those people in skeleton masks? Who, let's remember
Maybe
here,
they were ghosts.
Vampiro and Stryker specifically said they are demon spirits taking someone to the dead.
I mean, yeah, they were just demon spirits, I guess. Whatever.
This show's fantastic.
This show is so good.
It's crazy bonkers bullshit. So now we've talked about Phoenix and Mil Muertes, coincidentally enough. Let's talk about Pentagon Jr.
Pentagon Jr, aka Insurance Claim Jr. Pentagon Jr. is weird because like they kind of start him off with like no gimmick at all. He's just another guy. And then just kind of like out of nowhere, they give him the thing where he just starts breaking people's arms, and he goes full like psycho torture maim master guy. Oi, I fucking head. Yeah, so Pentagon Jr. shows up relatively early on, and he's just kind of like one of the other guys early on. I mean, he's a little bit more brutal than other guys, and they kind of have his like cero miedo, no fear kind of motive and catchphrase, but he doesn't really like do anything until it was a match between I forget who. I think it was him and just some random jobber.
It was Famous B, I think.
Yeah, it was Famous B. I remember he was definitely one of the ones, but I don't remember who was I think it was him who was the first. Just some random fucking jobber. And out of nowhere, for no explainable reason, he just fucking breaks his arm at the end of the match. And then he he starts praying in the ring like a goddamn madman. And then he just leaves. Nobody knows.
Great.
It's so it's so legitimately out of left field. I had to go back and like, wait, what did he just do? Like it was. It does come out of nowhere where it's just like he grabs the guy's arm and just pop,
And I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck? You broke
it's
it?
like, what? Why? How? Who?
And then he keeps doing it, and I'm like, this guy's gimmick is to fucking maim someone.
He starts doing it in matches he's not even in. He just shows up at the end to break
He doesn't
somebody's
do it
arm.
to the ring announcer.
Yes, he does.
What does she do?
Like, fucking, like, seriously, it's like, it's so weird. It's such like a great gimmick for him too, because again, like I said, they make him like full on psycho mode after they do that, and they really find his gimmick, and he really starts getting over. And
to be fair, dude, the mask, like his outfit really fits it too.
Oh no, yeah, the white and black, and then he has the face paint underneath the mask as well. Oh, it's so good. It's good.
Amazing. And
it's gorgeous.
It's great because a gimmick like that can only work in a show like this. It can only work in a wrestling show like this, which is why I'm so glad they do it. Where again, it's like he just literally just starts breaking fuckers' arms.
He just starts like,
and they don't even say like, oh, he has an injured meniscus or whatever. No, they're just no, he's breaking fuckers' arms.
Yeah, you have Vampiro be like, dude, holy shit, he just broke his arm. What the hell? Like
what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? They're so baffled by it.
It's so good.
And then he's like, they introduce things about his mysterious mentor, my master. You know, I'm making sacrifices to my master. I am here to bring blood and chaos to my master. And, you know, they're like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? He's got to be somebody, you know. And they start building it up. And, you know, he starts getting worse and worse and worse. And starts getting more brutal and more violent and more insane. And it gets so bad to the point where Vampiro himself has to jump from the announcer's table and dash into the ring to save, I think it was Sexy Star. He jumps into the ring to save her because he's like, all right, that's it, Pentagon. I've had enough. You need to fucking cool the hell down. Granted, I mean, after like the 5th or 6th time, it feels a little bad to, you know, everybody else that he did it to. He's just like,
could have helped them before.
Yeah, you could have done something before here, Vamp. But at the same time, it's such a good character moment for Vampiro where he's like, I need to do something. No, fuck the cause of events. I am interfering. And it's done so genuinely too. And they make it like, and that's another thing about Vampiro here with his character. I really liked his arc because they give him an arc near the end.
Oh yeah,
where it's kind of subtly foreshadowed leading up to that point where a lot of Vampiro's commentary when he makes comments on the match is, oh, they did, you know, this move. Oh, that's a cool move, but also you got to think about, you know, the injury aspects. You know, he's like obviously because he's a former wrestler, you know, he's got an you know, the lion's share of, you know, fucked up injuries. You know, whenever like a kayfabe injury happens, or you know, somebody like, you know, oh, I kicked you out of your super move and now you landed face first on the mat, and you know, like actual like legitimate, like, oh, he must have got actually legitimately hurt doing that. He'll make comments about that. He'll be like, yeah, I know it's all fun and glamour, but like when you think about it, like you got to think about it when you're done with the match and you kind of lose that
the adrenaline.
The adrenaline, yeah. You kind of lose that, and then you start actually feeling the pain. You need to think about that. Well, you know, once you start getting tired there and you lose your steam, and you know all those injuries are going to add up. And it's kind of subtle because, like, okay, yes, these are obvious things that you would think about as a wrestler, but you know, you the viewer might not think about something like that. But Vampiro as a wrestler, you know, that makes sense that he would make comments about that because he's been there. He kind of knows that too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this weird, subtle, like, character moment for him where he's like, he remembers like I shouldn't be interfering with the matches. I can't wrestle anymore. I need to stay as far away from the ring as I possibly can. And Pentagon gets so fucking pissed that he interfered that he starts going out of his way to taunt and torture Vampiro and tries to goad him into fighting, and he just makes it all the more brutal for Vampiro.
He threatens to set the fucker on fire.
He literally grabs a can of lighter fluid and dumps it on Vampiro and opens up, like, literally flips the lighter on and holds it near Vampiro, who is covered in lighter fluid. And you know that was real lighter fluid. And he's just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And you've got Vampiro, who's like, again, he's like, I'm done with wrestling. I've got those demons. I put the drugs away. Allegedly, I'm done with wrestling. I'm done injuring myself. I want to kind of go back to a normal life, and that kind of leads to him like, he keeps trying to get goated in the match, and like you see him like struggling with like, do I give in? Do I let this keep happening? Do I let the torture keep going, or do I give in? And like I was me, who I prefaced, right when we started, I do not like Vampiro. I do not care for him. I was getting legitimately hyped up because they were legitimately teasing a Vampiro match, and they do it. He's like,
oh yeah, it's a fucking brutal fucking match.
It gets to that point, and I love this bit in the ring where Vampiro drops character, and he's referring to himself by his real name. He's just like, I am Ian Hodgkinson from something, Ontario. I have X amount of kids. I live, here. I do this. I do that. I am not a wrestler. I am a man. He's like, I am not fighting you. He goes like, he does this like whole recap of his whole like wrestling career, and like, I am done. I cannot wrestle anymore. And then at the end of the interview, when Pentagon's getting ready to strike back, he's like, and the reason I'm not fighting you is because Vampiro is fighting you. And
it's fucking great.
I legitimately popped at that because, like, dude, oh my fucking god, the way he sells it too is so good. Oh, so we get
and he really like Vampiro really puts everything into that fucking promo. Dude.
Oh my
it's
god,
so goddamn good.
And then we get the match with him at Ultima Lucha. And it is, well, I'm just going to be blunt. It's a fucking garbage match. This is not a wrestling match. This is two dudes beating the shit out of each other, trying to literally kill one or the other.
And it's fucking
like,
awesome.
Like Vampiro popularized. That's his shtick. And it's so fucking good. I don't really like those kinds of matches. And I was so fucking entertained. It helps that they had really kind of refrained from going that way. There was a lot of like more straight lucha, a lot of more technical kind of stuff. They did a little bit of Wetman stuff. They had chairs, obviously. They had kendo sticks. Obviously the tables and stuff like that. But that was the most brutal the show had gotten up to that point. And you've got them like fucking hitting each other with light tubes and setting shit on fire and trash cans and thumbtacks and all of the other classic maiming shit.
I mean, dude, all you have to do is look at fucking Pentagon's face after the match was done.
Much
Holy
like Phoenix,
shit.
Pentagon's mask gets destroyed. His complete monochrome costume is soaked in red. And it's so... I fucking love the way he looks, too, because he's like trying to stay conscious, and he's just got that 1,000-yard stare. And I love that.
It looks like he lost a shit ton of blood.
Well, I mean, he probably did. I love that, too, because, like, there's this great part, too, like, right at the end. And I want to talk about Vampiro as well, who... First of all, Vampiro shows up in the ring dressed like a fucking Scooby-Doo villain, and he makes it work.
I thought you were going to say he looks like the frontman of Ghost.
Well, I mean that the frontman.
Oh, he is a Scooby-Doo villain.
Well, that's the thing. Yes, the frontman of Ghost is a Scooby-Doo villain, but he does look like the frontman of Ghost. So he shows up in the ring dressed like the fucking zombie pope, and one thing I want to say about this match is they do not go the obvious route. The obvious route of this story, of course, is Vampiro, this old retired wrestler who's past his prime, comes out of retirement for one last match to put this disrespectful little shit in his place and prove that he is still great. No, he still loses. He gets his fucking ass handed to him. They take this straight and like, no, yeah, Vamp is definitely not good and not in good condition to fight.
I mean, Stryker basically says multiple times, like, he's just way too old. He can't do this.
No, yeah. And on one hand, like, you would that's the obvious expectation for the storyline, up to that point, that is, that, you get Vampiro goaded back into fighting, and he gets won over, and that's kind of the expected storyline there. But on the other, I'm glad that, again, like I said earlier on, they don't let the older guys' kind of ego or clout to let them dictate how their matches go. And Vampiro doesn't get the easy win over. No, it's a legitimately hard fought match for him too. But he still loses anyways because, of course, he's just that much older. He's just that much warier. He runs out of energy, and he ultimately gets the loss.
I mean, granted, I'll give Vampiro his props here. He still pulls out some crazy shit. Like,
no,
fuck,
yeah,
dude. He pulls out a full-on... Well, I don't know what the technical term... I'm going to just call it a Rolling Thunder, because that's what I know it as. Off a fucking top rope. He misses completely, and he hits fucking thumbtacks, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I would not do that at your age.
No. I wouldn't do that if there were no thumbtacks.
I wouldn't do that at my age, dude. Shit.
No. But that's the thing, is that Vampiro, despite his age, despite his physical condition, he still puts out a pretty good match. I mean, again, he's never, he's at best, he's always been kind of average, but he still does really good for his skill. And it's still surprising too, because the obvious expectation of the story is he would end up winning, but that's a nice subversion where no, obviously realistically he would lose the fight. And that's so good. And then we get to the ending of the match.
Oh my God, yes.
Where Pentagon, who is basically about to pass out from blood loss, is just like there, like trying to stand straight. And then you got Vampiro on the ground, like crying in his own blood. He's like, "Do it, break my arm, you piece of shit, break my fucking arm." And then you have Pentagon. He looks at the camera, like literally looks at the camera, and he's just like, all right. He literally just shrugs, and then he does it.
It's fucking great.
And then we get somehow one of the most obvious and one of the most out of left field twists, where we find out that Pentagon's secret evil master, who has been driving him to do all this awful, heinous, violent shit, was Vampiro himself.
Bum, bum, bum.
Which, and I'm going to say this, and I said this when I saw this happen for myself, I somehow fucking called this, and I was like, no, that cannot... There's that first part right after he interferes with him trying to break Sexy Star's arm. And you get him, that's the scene with him in the bathroom looking at the mirror, and they do like the, my head, and I'm like, okay, they're going to do like a split personality thing, where Vampiro and Ian are two different people, and Vampiro is the one who is the master unknowingly. And they fucking did that. And I was like, no, that's retarded. They're not going to do that, because there's no way anybody would believe that. And they did it! They did it!
And somehow, it works.
It works! It was legit. For one, it was a legitimately surprising twist, even though I literally called it already. And two... It makes sense. I mean, again,
it's one of those twists where like you call it, but you kind of like hype yourself out of it. Like, nah, there's no fucking way. And then,
no, and it's not
bam!
It's not even like it's so obvious they can't do. They're not going to do that because it's so obvious. They're not going to do that because it's the most baffling decision they could make, and then they still do it, and it's still one of the best decisions they could have made.
Aha, but Jay, there is something that I can say, that they did foreshadow this a lot in his commentary.
They did. They did, in fact, foreshadow it very heavily, and I was saying that too.
Because for those of you who are going to watch it, keep an ear out every single time Pentagon's in the ring after he starts this gimmick. And every single time, Vampiro will say, he's going to someplace dark. I've been there. He's going somewhere dark, dark. And it's like,
exactly.
What the fuck?
And he does a lot of that kind of commentary, both, in other matches too, where you just think that's him, like, oh, Vampiro is talking about, oh, Pentagon is just going to get too into his character, and he's going a little too crazy, because, that's kind of what happened to Vampiro is. Vampiro kind of really got into that character, in reality, and that kind of screwed him up for a long time in real life. And you kind of think, like, oh, Pentagon's kind of going that route too, where he's kind of like amping up his character, and it's going to get to the point where he won't be able to separate, fact and fiction. You think that's what he means by that, but no, he literally means that Pentagon is just going full dark side, like Vampiro did, just as I have trained him to do, and it would be so stupid in any other context if it wasn't, well, for one, if it wasn't wrestling, and for two, if it weren't fucking Vampiro. Because it makes so much sense with him, and it makes so much sense, and it's so well foreshadowed, that it's just... it's still so weird.
To be honest, I like the twist more now, thinking about it, because I think, well, of course, his final test was to put him through some fucking disgusting garbage match like this, just making him bleed as much as he can, and they're as brutal as possible.
The final test is always to prove you are better than the master. No shit, the final match would be against his master Vampiro. Oh my, like, it's so good. And
it's legitimately like one of those things that the more you think about it, it's like, oh shit, a lot of this just makes a lot of sense.
If even the slightest detail was different, this would not have worked at all. This would have been awful. But everything is done in such a good way.
Matt Stryker.
Well, I mean, yeah, if Matt Stryker turned out to be the
Dario
secret master,
Cueto.
well, I mean, Dario would be just too obvious. Like,
oh, that would be funny as fuck.
Dario wouldn't do it because Dario wouldn't want to have to deal with the insurance claims of people getting arms broken. Not that he would pay them anyways, as we've discussed. But literally, no other person up to that point would have made sense other than Vampiro, other than them just saying, oh, here's a wrestler you haven't seen before, get ready for season 2, kids. Unless they did something like that. Of course it had to be him. Nobody else could have been the secret master. But at the same time, it's such a stupid idea that it wraps around and becomes amazing.
It legitimately is one of those arcs that I really want to watch the show for. Because I remember someone telling me you got to watch it for the Vampiro Pentagon stuff. And like I was like, Vampiro? Really? This is Vampiro? Like,
Vampiro in 2014? Are you sure?
I mean, dude, like, fuck's sake, like that wasn't even face paint. He was just doing a bunch of coke, and the powder that got on his face was just really convenient.
Yeah.
Like, like
I mean, if this came out like in 2004, and somebody told me, oh yeah, there's this cool match with a Vampiro and this other guy, I'm like, well, for one, I would think you're lying because there's no match that has Vampiro in it that was cool back then. But at the same time, it'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. If somebody in 2014 told me there was a cool Vampiro match in this show, I would think you were lying. Because Vampiro, well, again, Vampiro was Vampiro, but that's not a sentence that anybody would ever really say.
See, this is what happens when you put a guy who is a master of garbage hardcore wrestling with a guy who is a really goddamn good wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
You get a really goddamn good garbage match.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it sounds weird saying good garbage match, but that's basically what it is. It's just two fuckers. I mean, dude, if you had shown me this and I had no idea what wrestling was, I'd think they're really trying to kill each other.
Well, I mean, again, to explain, to the layman and the obvious, garbage match does not necessarily mean the match itself is garbage. They usually are garbage. That's why we call them that. They're garbage matches because they're usually consisting of two dudes literally just trying to murder each other, usually involving garbage cans, but primarily involving, well,
light
whatever
tubes.
Light, fluorescent light tubes or thumbtacks or,
glass.
Like
lots
just
of glass.
Glass. Basically anything that will cut you and make you bleed for real, they will use. And
barbed
that's
wire.
Why they're called, barbed wire. I'm surprised there was no barbed wire here, actually.
I know, right? No barbed wire, no C4.
I mean, C4, no. Like, Dario can't afford C4. He can afford like C2 maybe. That's not even a thing. He would afford it. No. Like, yeah, they didn't have the budget for C4 here.
Yeah, season 2.
You would think Robert Rodriguez was funding this shit, but no, they couldn't afford C4.
How much do you want to bet they actually have to talk him down from doing that?
I mean,
it's like,
you know,
dude, there are actual people in the audience. We can't afford this. But what about the explosions?
I mean, look, AJ, they're paid extras. He can do it. Listen, look, dude,
explosions in the crowd match.
Yeah. What is this, Russo?
Dude. Fuck, dude. Like, wouldn't that be amazing if like one of the season finales is just like, explosive temple match. It explodes when everyone's gone.
Oh yeah, no, like Dario just goes like full supervillain. It's like, I've rigged a bomb to everybody in the audience. If anybody lands a pin outside the match, one crowd member explodes.
So it's not even the building that explodes, it's the audience itself.
Yes, the audience is rigged to blow.
Holy shit, that would be amazing. Can we get that?
I want to see that. I would legitimately.
It would be like TVMA as fuck, but dude, let's go.
Oh no.
To be fair, the fact that they got away with the Pentagon Vampiro match with a TV-14 itself, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
With all that fucking blood
granted,
shit.
you know, Vampiro's not allowed to say the fuck word, so I think that kind of helped as well.
He's not allowed to say the fuck word.
No, yeah, that's another thing too, is that's one of those weird things where, and why I'm not entirely sure that the crowd is paid extras, because you've got the crowd chanting holy shit, you know, and saying, you know, expletives, and they don't get, well, there's one time where the crowd gets censored out, but they don't censor the crowd out. But like if Vampiro or Matt Stryker or one of the wrestlers said something, they would bleep it out.
I mean, Matt Stryker says shit all the time.
He does?
He said, yeah, like, so like the first time that Angelico does the fucking jump off Cueto's office, he literally yells, holy shit. And you hear it. Maybe it's because of like how loud
he is. Like every other time, like you have like Vampiro or Matt, like they're about to say it, and it's like, I can't say that word, but you know what? Hey, you hear the crowd doing it, and like, but then he just, what the fuck?
There are a lot of times where Matt Stryker will say holy shit. I think it's because maybe he yells so loud that it distorts itself. I don't know, but you can very much hear it.
They can get away with saying it was the audience too. It's weird.
Oh, dude, it's great.
So good.
So who else do we got? You know, let's talk about my favorite championships, or my favorite people. The Trios champion, fucking Son of Havoc, Angelico and Ivelisse. My fucking boys and girl.
Son of Havoc is such a weird guy because he shows up to fill the role that you would expect of the standard heel jobber, except he wins his first match as well, which is weird. He actually gets a lot of wins for somebody who should ostensibly be just a jobber. They don't really, again, he is just like the generic bad guy we have. He is our bad guy. He could not be any more generic of a luchador unless he was literally just El Generico.
Hey, don't say that about El Generico. He's in Mexico with the orphans.
I mean, listen, AJ, he is the generic man. That is his shtick.
I mean, look at his fucking outfit. It's just black spandex and just a black mask.
And that's fucking Son of Havoc too. Exactly. He doesn't.
It's great.
He even has the beard.
He does.
And then they give him this like weird arc where like he's got a girlfriend who is just like a turbo bitch, and she just all she does is scream and yell and just stamp her feet. And he's another guy where they kind of don't know exactly what to do with him other than having him be easy victory fodder for most people. And then they give him a match with Angelico. And I guess
he himself is amazing.
Which was an amazing match. I guess something clicked with the people behind the scenes, because they give him another match, and then he wins the fucking match, like gets a legitimate victory, and then he has this whole story arc of like, I'm done with you, my bitchy girlfriend. You are holding me back. I can do this by myself. Because like his whole thing up to that point was like, oh well, he's got this girl, he's got his controlling girlfriend, and he's trying to play to the crowd, and he's distracted. He doesn't really, he could be a great guy. He just kind of doesn't know what he's doing. He's too obsessed with glory. He's the evil bad guy, and then he legitimately grows out of that, and he legitimately wins like several matches in a row, and then because Dario Cueto is a crackhead, he's like, okay, Son of Havoc, your girlfriend, and this guy that you've been in a rivalry with, you're now a trio team. Here, go fight for this championship I just invented against my Mook army. Go fight them for the title. And it's like, what the fuck are you thinking, Dario? First of all, but they win. They
turn out to be a fantastic fucking team.
They are a brilliant trio. Well, trio, quote unquote. Evil East does fucking nothing the entire time.
Her legs
so
broken
it's. But I mean,
most of the time.
That's kind of her gimmick, is that she's basically just there to give orders. She doesn't actually do the wrestling.
Yeah.
But it works. Also, she has a broken leg for half the season. Which
it's fine.
I don't know if it was like real or that was like a kayfabe.
No,
thing.
there's no way that was real.
No. I mean, it probably wasn't, but still.
I don't know. Maybe she's just that much of a carny. She's just like, I got a broken leg, but I can still wrestle.
I mean, it's not like she was wrestling at all, anyways.
No, that's true. But see, the thing about those three is that separate they don't got much, but together they were so entertaining.
They were
so fun.
I wouldn't necessarily call them like a comedy team, because they weren't like running around like saying like Reddit posts as their entire gimmick. Cough, New Day, cough.
I thought you were gonna say the Young Bucks.
Well, I mean, that was the Young Bucks as well, but I liked the New Day, so they were the first ones that came to mind.
Okay.
But their gimmick is we browse Reddit, the wrestler. Anyways,
Jesus.
back to the thing we're talking
Jesus.
about. They're basically like Angelico is the most like experienced, like the most skilled of the trio. But even then, like when he's on his own, he's like he doesn't really like he's not that great. He's overshadowed by a lot of other guys, and he's just kind of there. And so they pair him up with Son of Havoc, who up to that point had basically just been a joke wrestler, more or less. And they become a legitimately entertaining and a legitimately they're a well-oiled machine. They work together so well. They really shine as a team. It's so.
I looked forward to every single one.
Oh my
of
god,
matches.
yeah. Like that's one of the things that I loved too, is that Son of Havoc goes from being a fucking joke character to legitimately getting over it and becoming a champion, like, by the end of the season. And I ended up really, really getting hyped for Son of Havoc matches, which if
I did too.
If you went back in time like a month ago and told me when I watched episode 1, you would end up rooting for Son of Havoc, well, first of all, I would kill you because you're a demon, not a time traveler. But second of all, I wouldn't believe you.
I mean, dude, because like I usually like I always like, one of the things that always gets over with me for wrestling is the jobber that has to try and get a win. You know, it happened with Heath Slater. It happened back in the day with Gilbert. I love that shit. So having Son of Havoc, this guy who's just fucking pathetic, he just keeps fucking losing. Like, that match he had the first time he got like that real big win where he fucking basically dumps Evil East. I'm just like, that's fucking awesome.
It's such a great character moment for him too, because he's like, you've been holding me back. You are why I always lose. And then they're still forced to work together for the rest of the season, and they never really work that out. They're just kind of back together again by the finale. It was kind of weird, honestly. I wish they kind
of. To be fair, they did kind of hint a little bit like there's still something there. There's a little something there here and there.
I think that was a missed opportunity where I kind of wish they kind of did a little bit more to kind of have them make up, because like even up during their final match they're still like they still hate each other. And then during like the epilogue stuff, like, oh haha, we're together again, I guess.
Perhaps.
Either way, I really liked it too. Like, I mean, granted, it's not that surprising. Like, guys like Disco Inferno got over. I'm not surprised Son of Havoc could get over when they're the right circumstances. But he does it. He legitimately gets over. He legitimately shows some great talent. I also looked forward to seeing a Son of Havoc match, which I would not have believed if you told me that going into the show. I would have been like, no, you're lying.
It's one of those things that the show does really well, where it takes, let's be honest, fucking jobber-looking people or comedy people, and you're just like, really? That's who you're going to tell me to root for? And then they got me rooting for him.
Yeah.
AKA fucking Masqueritas. Like, this fucking little dude, and I'm just like, he's a midget. You know, I'm not going to be rooting for a midget.
He's a tiny guy.
Dude. And then he comes out doing all this crazy shit, and I'm just like, holy shit, this guy is awesome.
This thing.
You
almost said that. You almost called him a thing.
I did. That was a Freudian slip, I think. But yeah, so this little guy is like fucking amazing.
Granted, they do kind of give him like the team of misfits. Like, well, okay, they give him a cross-dresser and then whoever else they could fill the void with his trio matches.
Dude, I love Pimpy. He was great.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Speaking of Freudian things, yeah, like Pimpinella was great. Like, this is not a character that would get over unless this is like this specific like. This is not a character who would get over to an average American viewer, but in this situation, yes, you can tell that this is a character who's going to get over.
This would never get over in, like, WWE or an AEW.
No,
this would never
it might have gotten over back in, like, the mid-90s.
Maybe in TNA.
Like, well, definitely TNA, because TNA was fucking terrible.
TNA was wild, man.
But, I mean, like, yeah, if this was, like, the mid-90s, like during, like, Gold Dust era, maybe they would have gotten over in America, but also no, they would not have lasted nowadays in an American show. Well, I mean, again, technically an American show, but you get the idea.
I mean, I love this. I love those two.
Oh my god, yeah,
they're great. And then they give him some fucking random dude Bengala who I was just like, that's just King from Tekken.
Yeah, that's kind of my disappointment is that they never found like a third like weirdo to fill out their ranks, Like their first match, they give them Sexy Star, she is the only female wrestler they have, because they don't count Ivelisse as a wrestler because she has one match and she does nothing.
Sexy Star, who also like Pentagon breaks people's arms, but unlike Pentagon, she forgets that wrestling's a work. Do you know the story behind that?
No, because you teased that you were going to tell a story about her, and then you haven't told her a story yet.
Watching Lucha Underground Season 2, or Season 1, sorry, but Season 2 and whatever onwards, watching it is kind of interesting, because we get to see Alberto Del Douchebag, who just, beats his wife, but then we also see Sexy Star. So Sexy Star, Jay, I don't know if you knew this, she was in a match because this was with I think it was AAA. It was a Mexican promotion, and they had Rosemary from TNA. I think you've seen her. She's like the clown, crazy Joker.
Yeah.
She's got big tits. So
yeah,
she was in a match with Sexy Star, and in the match, Sexy Star, who legitimately knows MMA, puts her in a armbar, which, a lot of wrestlers use nowadays. Nakamura, Ronda Rousey, a lot of people use that in wrestling nowadays.
Yeah.
So she puts her in an armbar, but it's not a worked armbar. It's a real armbar. And she ends up breaking the fuck out of Rosemary's arm.
What?
And because of that, she's basically been blacklisted from all of wrestling.
Oof.
Because she kind of, because her excuse was not to go like, I'm sorry, I did it a little too snugly. It was, oh, sorry, I didn't know I was putting the armbar that bad. I didn't know the armbar could break your arm.
Oh, I didn't know the move that's specifically designed to break arms would break your arm. Yeah, that's gonna fucking get over under a court of law. That'd be like if I fucking hit a dude with the fucking Kaniku Buster and like, oh, I'm sorry I destroyed your entire midsection of your spine. I didn't know the move that was supposed to do that would do that. Oh my god,
it's fine.
I fucking, like, I'm kind of mad because they start off with Pentagon. Like, Pentagon kind of has this, like Japanese wrestling style to him. He does a lot of, like, Japanese moves. He fucking straight up does the Kaniku Buster at one point. And then they kind of drop it once they go with the he's this fucking psycho who's breaking people's arms. Like, they kind of drop that kind of aspect from his moveset. And I'm so mad. I don't know why I forgot to mention.
We need more people to try out the Kaniku Buster.
Like, who do we have that does that? We have Samoa Joe, and
but he doesn't even
do
the Kaniku Buster.
He doesn't even do it anymore.
The Kaniku Buster, if I remember correctly, you have to hold them and then, like, basically just, like, fall on your ass.
I mean, listen, AJ, nobody's going to be able to do the fucking Kaniku Buster as it is in the manga in real life.
So here's my idea.
Until we invent fucking zero gravity wrestling, nobody's going to do the actual Kaniku Buster.
There's only one way you can do the Kaniku Buster safely, and that's if you let go of the legs right before you land.
No, well, then you're not doing the Kaniku Buster.
Well, no, but like if you're holding the legs and in the last second you let go.
I get what you mean, of course, but then that defeats the purpose of the Kaniku Buster.
Well,
then
look, pull off a Kaniku Buster into UFC and see how far that gets you.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't last 2 seconds in the UFC, but
to be fair, if you could pull off the Kaniku Buster in UFC, I mean, you would just win all the belts.
If I could pull off the Kaniku Buster at all, I would be a god.
You would kill someone.
I would legitimately kill somebody. That's what it's fucking designed for. That was
dude.
That was Kaniku Man's I need to defeat the big bad guy now, and this is my ultimate special move that nobody can fucking kick out from because you can't kick anymore once I use it because your fucking spine's destroyed. And Kaniku Man was the good guy.
Look, all I remember from Kaniku Man is there was some dude who like turned you into like noodles or something.
Yeah, it was Ramen Man. Yeah, he was Chinese. He was great. You know what? Ramen Man's great. My favorite. I'm gonna spoil Kaniku Man. My favorite part of Kaniku Man is when Ramen Man pretends to have brain damage and then dresses up as a Mongolian man. And
oh my God.
Like he just like he gets away with it because everybody's kind of stupid in Kaniku Man.
Oh God.
Dude, AJ, there is a character who is literally just dressed as a Nazi 24/7.
I know that.
He's not a Nazi. I mean, his dad was a Nazi. Yeah, Brockenman was a fucking Nazi. But Pentagon Jr. is just dressed like a Nazi all day, every day. And you know what? He's cool. He's great.
How the fuck did Kaniku Man, like, how is Kaniku Man even a thing?
Well,
it's like a comedy manga, but it's like super gruesome.
Kaniku Man is what happens is when you start. Well, I mean, okay, this is tangentially related to what we're talking about, so I'm going to go on a mini tangent here. Kaniku Man is what happens when you start trying to make an Ultraman parody, and then you leave, like, New Japan on in the background, and you're like, oh, fuck this, I want to watch this. And then that becomes your comic, is just fucking watching New Japan and then writing what happens, like, up to 11.
So when is that going to happen with Miura? Just have the fucking gods start dancing to idol music?
He might.
Griffin has used the god hand or some shit to make idols real. Now all the world is made of idols.
Griffin is an idol. Have you seen him?
I mean, to be fair, yes.
Anyways,
so besides Sexy Star breaking people's arms because she's fucking an asshole, who are we talking about?
we were talking about like the joke team,
Pimpy and Masqueritas
and Pimpy, and then we were also talking about Son of Havoc and Angelico and his girlfriend.
I like how you don't even use her name.
I don't remember her name half the time.
It's Evilise.
Evilise. Yeah,
it's supposed to be like the most obvious evil name ever. It's Evil.
It's not even spelt. It's not even spelt like it should be, which is weird.
I know, right?
Anyways, I really liked how well they worked together by the end, and I think it's funny too, is because like in the storyline, Dario kind of sets them up as like, oh, you guys are the worst possible team combination. This will destroy your spirits. Oh, I don't have any motive to do this, but I'm going to do this. And then they actually get over and they work together well as a team and they're super popular. And he's like, shit, I didn't think this was going to happen.
I didn't think this through at all.
Yeah, as is to be said with basically all of Dario's plans, I didn't think this one through.
Dario's kind of a fucking idiot.
Dario Cueto he's a very entertaining bad guy because he's just like a buffoon half the time.
It's hilarious because like you first see him and you think, oh, this guy's gonna be like some like really evil mastermind, right? It's like, no, he's just a fucking dumbass.
He tries to be the super sinister like mastermind, but he's kind of like a joke and nobody likes him and nobody takes him seriously. You know what?
I like that too. It's like nobody likes this guy.
You know what? And I thought of this very early on. And I didn't want to say this because I wanted you to form your own opinion of Dario without me kind of leading you on. So this was kind of the opinion I had of Dario very early on, and I'm going to say this, and I don't really care if you agree with me or not. Dario Cueto reminds me a lot of Eric Bischoff. Specifically, he reminds me of Bischoff like really early on, like right when he joined the NWO, like right when he went out like full heel. But like really early on, before he let his ego and his the power and control he had over WCW let to go to him. So he's still like a joke. He still lets everybody walk over him, beat him up and everything. He's still a joke. He's ostensibly the man in charge. He's ostensibly the main villain, but he's a joke and nobody respects him. And that's kind of what Dario reminds me of.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, and
I can actually, because I'm thinking about it right now. Like I'm actually thinking like, huh. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that really. I can see that a lot, actually.
And that's what I liked about Dario is that he has this he has his minions, and his minions don't respect him, and like the only minions who like actively work for him are the crew, and there are like two of them who actually follow his orders half the time, and then there's the one who's dressed like Joggy from Fist of the North Star who doesn't do anything. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they just replace. I'm pretty sure he just kind of shows up after a while. They never really like introduce him. And also they just kill him he just dies at one point too. Was it him who died or was it somebody else? I don't remember. Somebody dies at some point.
It's like I think it's the third. It's it's Bale, the one that came out of the crowd out of fucking nowhere in one of the episodes.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Is the guy with the mask?
He kind of comes out of nowhere and like he's the one who dies.
Yeah. They just straight up feed him to a guy. Yeah, that's this weird thing that like Dario just has like somebody in a cage. We don't know who it is until he's like. He offhandedly mentions like, oh yeah, this is my brother. I keep him in a cage. You're never going to see what he looks like. But he's snarling and growling, and he also actually eats people. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck does this have to do with Lucha Libre? What,
you didn't know that luchadors just eat people sometimes?
I mean, they do, obviously. I know that. But it's like I don't understand anything about Dario's motivation, and that kind of works because he's just this baffling character. He is just like the most buffoonish like villain you can possibly come up with.
Oh, it's great because like he comes off like he's supposed to be this big evil mastermind, but no, it's like everybody just fucking walks on him. He's such a fucking little shit.
He is the Lucha Temple's doormat, basically.
He's a little shit, and it's funny. It's just funny as fuck to me because like they really do make it seem like this guy. Yeah, he's gonna be this crazy dude. It's like, no, everyone disrespects him. They're choking him out. Fuck's sake. Katrina. Oh, no, it wasn't Katrina. Yeah, it was Katrina. She just chokes him out at one point. It's like, dude, what the fuck? You suck. But he's so good, too.
Our villain, ladies and gentlemen.
Our main villain getting choked out by one of the other main villains. There was a Toku show like that. I can't remember which one.
I think so.
It was probably one of the bad ones. Anyways, so yeah, Dario Cueto. Who else do we got to talk about now? I think the only guy we got left to talk about is fucking. Should we talk about Morty the Moth?
A little bit. I kind of liked him.
Marty the Moth, aka Slimy Lanny Pator. I can't be the only one who looked at him and is like, is that Lenny Pator?
He kind of looks like. I mean, he's obviously a better built human being than Lanny is, and
at the time, yes.
Well, I mean, even in 2014, Lanny was a fat fuck.
I mean, he'll admit that, yeah.
He will. I feel like Marty the Moth is kind of like he is the joke character. I love him so much, and he's such like a weirdo. So one of the kayfabe elements of the temple, the Lucha Underground temple, is that Dario is straight up like, the door is wide open. You don't need to ask me if you want to be in the show. I don't need to approve you. You just fucking walk into my office, ask me for a match, you'll get a match.
Well, I mean, how many people get fucking killed? I'd be the same way. Just bring them all in.
Yeah, fuck it. And then this guy shows up. Marty, Marty Martinez, the Moth. He just fucking walks up to Dario as I think he was like walking home for the day. He was like closing. First of all, Dario has to close up his own temple.
I know, right?
I fucking love that part. He's like, he has security, I guess. He allegedly has employees. Nobody ever does anything, I guess, because that place is disgusting. I love it too because he's going I don't remember if he was going home or entering the temple, but this dude shows up. He's like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Morty the Moth Martinez. I'm here to have a match. I'm here to compete. I've got Aztec blood, and I'm the new top star." And Dario's just like, "Okay, cool, bye." And he's like, he's like, "Call security. Get this guy out of here."
I just love it too because the face he gives is like, what the fuck?
He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" He's as confused as the viewer is, and I love it too because again, he had from episode 1, he was like, "The doors are wide open. Anybody who wants to have a match can have a match." And then he's like, "I want to have a match." And he's like, "Okay, never mind. You can't have a match. Everybody else can."
Everybody go home. You just get the fuck out of here.
No, get him out of here. Get him the hell out of here. Throw him out of the cold.
Don't get a jacket. Don't give him his jacket back.
Yeah. But I love it because
so
eventually...
you're saying Marty the Moth is just them really poking fun at Lightbringer.
I mean that's kind of a deep cut if he was making fun of him because
to be fair, let's be completely honest. Marty the Moth is much more attractive than Kara is.
I mean, I was about to say that. Yes, I love it too because eventually Dario's just like, "Fine, I'll give you a match, whatever." And then he is a joke. He is a joke character. There is nothing to Marty the Moth at all that makes him stand out. He is a joke character.
And you know what? The end.
He is an entertaining joke character, of course. I did like seeing him show up. I did like. There's one great moment where he tries to do the big badass heel run in where Sexy Star there's this whole gimmick near the end where Dario's like, "I've got these magic medallions. I'm going to give them out to 7 different wrestlers." What do? I don't know. Fuck you. You want it? I'm giving it to you. And there's this one point where Sexy Star wins and hers has a moth on it or whatever. And he's like, "I'm the Moth. I should have that. I'm going to challenge you to a match right now." And then he loses. And that's the most entertaining thing that he does. I mean, he does a lot of entertaining stuff in the match. He does a lot of goofy stuff in matches, and he's fun to watch, but he shows up and he is just there as a joke. Until the epilogue, where for no discernible reason, he has fucking kidnapped Sexy Star and is keeping her in a fucking boiler room tied up to a chair, and he's flapping his arms like wings and the lights swinging back and forth, and he's laughing like a fucking crazy
If
man.
You think I'm bad, you can't wait to meet my sister.
Yeah, what? Where did this come from?
It really does come out of fucking nowhere. It's like, what the fuck?
What?
What's
Where did hold on? Did I miss a page? Is this the same guy? What
They
happened?
really just went out of their fucking way with that. I'm just like,
Oh my god.
what the fuck, dude? Like it's
so good.
so funny. It was so like it was kind of shocking to see like them go full like almost fully mummified sexy star with her being tied up like that. But it was also kind of like, oh shit, that's
It's so
fucking
good
weird.
because it catches you off guard. Like, oh, the joke character is like legitimately insane. Oh, that's not good.
Dario Cueto was right. He really was just fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Dario was right for once.
That alone was like really fucking funny. So actually, now that we're here, we should talk about Ultima Lucha. We should talk about Ultima Lucha because it is technically the finale of the season. It's the finale of all the story arcs here.
Yeah.
So
we get a lot of really good matches in Ultima Lucha. So it's so big that they have to do it for technically 2 episodes, but one's double length, so 3 episodes worth. So we've got I'm trying to remember all of the matches here. So we had the big brouhaha over the medallions where everybody won the medallions, and now we're all in a match. And the big deal with the medallions is the winner gets it's basically the Money in the Bank briefcase, except you can't just drop it at any time to have a match. And I like that element too because Dario is straight up like, if you want to have a match for the title, you can have it at any time you want. You just give me this belt. But also, don't do that shit where you show up at the end of the match and be like, hey, I want to have a match. That's not cool.
He essentially, he also says it too. It's like, there's not going to be any of this bullshit cashing in.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be able to make money on this title match, so don't do that shit. But otherwise, fair game. And that's a fun gimmick. I like that.
So running through the matches in order, because I actually have the order right here. This is something I did write down.
I didn't remember the order, so I thought that one was first.
So first off, we have Cage versus the Mac. We didn't talk about Cage. He's a big roidy motherfucker.
We didn't talk about Cage. I don't know how we forgot about him. Cage is the anti-luchador. He is. I mean, granted, he does play with the luchador style well. He is this big burly motherfucker who just shows up, and he is just here to murder people as well. I do not care about this high flying flippy dippy bullshit. I'm here to beat people up and become the champion.
And he's just, and the thing is, like, you know, you hear about guys being like this guy.
Oh no,
he's huge.
He's like, I would dare say he's about as big as Goldberg was when he first showed up.
Oh, he's bigger. He's gotta be. He's way bigger.
At the very least, as big, if not bigger. He's not he's not like giant sized, obviously, because he's got like an actual like body physique, and he's not just big, but he is like legitimately a massive man.
He's scary, dude.
He's legitimately scary too, which is another good thing about him, which really lends to his character.
So so we had him versus the Mac in a Falls Count Anywhere match, which was actually a really good match.
Which it was honestly one of my favorite matches of the show. The Mac, he was Big Rick's cousin. I don't fucking like, he was also like a non-character. He just kind of shows up for one match, and then he's just kind of there for the rest of the show.
Granted, I thought he was pretty cool.
No, he was really good. He was a really good guy. It's just like he had no role at all. He was just there to fill space, but he ended up being really good, especially in that match, and it kind of made me disappointed he didn't have more.
Well, hopefully season 2.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, so of course it's going to be completely bonkers.
Oh, it was so good.
And it's so good because it like 90% of the match is just the Mac pummeling Cage. He is winning for a majority of the match. And it is Cage. I mean, not Cage. It's Mac pulling out all of the goddamn stops he can. Off from the roof of Dario's office to the ring, he does that. Table shots, he does that. Chair shots, he does that. Into and through the crowd, he does that. All other random garbage he can find, he does that. Motherfucker hits him with the Stone Cold Stunner. which is
it was
so
fucking
good.
hilarious.
That's such a great moment because, like, I think he throws like a cooler at Cage or something.
Yeah, he does, and that made me laugh because I was like, "Wait, there's actual beers in there."
Yeah, and he picks up the 2 cans of Miller Lite that he just kind of fumbled in his hand, and he looks at the 2 cans of beer he's got in his hand, and he looks at Cage. He's dazed. And he's not able to fight back, and he looks at the cans and looks back. He looks back, looks at the cans and looks back, and he just kind of shrugs. He's like, dude, I can't not do this. And he straight up does the Stone Cold Stunner, cracking the beer cans over, guzzling it, throwing it and all. And it's so spectacular.
It's fucking great.
It is
and the thing is, like, what I like about this match, or what I liked about the match itself, is that nowadays you have a lot of Falls Count Anywhere matches that they're just kind of, we'll go into the crowd a little bit, and then we'll go into the side of the ring, and then we'll go into the ring. That's where it ends. No, these motherfuckers, even if it's not a Falls Count Anywhere match, they'll go to the back, they'll go to the top of the office, they'll go behind the stage, they'll go fucking everywhere.
I'm genuinely surprised they never at any point went outside or beyond the walls of the arena, like into the hallways or anything. Granted, obviously, that the camera crews and everything, you kind of need to be able to have them follow.
Well,
but...
Jay, it's a set, so.
Well, I mean, I know it's a set as well, but still.
It's not a real building, Jay.
I know it's not a real building. That's not the point. I wish they did that.
It would have been cool.
It would have been cool. But unfortunately, they didn't. But understandable either way. And
Look, it's fine. They keep throwing people through Dario's fucking office.
Yeah. First of all, Dario, like you can't afford to have your office literally anywhere else in that building. I mean, granted, it has some fun moments where he cracks open the door and he just his music starts playing and he cracks open the door of his office and he leans out into the arena there. And
what you said sounds like King K. Rool's theme.
Yeah, his theme kind of reminded me of King K. Rool's theme with the horns and everything. I don't know why, but it did.
But yeah, like they just keep throwing people through. But again, I like that match a lot, and of course, it ended on a pretty brutal note where he just curb stomps this dude into a fucking a fucking cinder block.
That was like the most surprising too, is the cinder block bit, because they don't do that too often either.
Not anymore, no.
No. They also don't do a lot of unprotected chair shots at the head, which they do a lot in Lucha Underground.
They do, because they don't give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
The next match we got was the Disciples of Death, which was the people that Katrina just happens to have.
Muertes' Mooks, and then the trios.
And then Angelico, Ivelisse, and Son of Havoc. And this is the one where they lose the belts, unfortunately.
That
but
one was
it made sense.
That one was kind of fun. That one got a little like bullshit because obviously again they had the Magic Rock bullshit kind of driving the match too, and it was like whatever. Like it's an obvious screw job finish, and like they're getting close to winning, and like it's one of those things where like they're so close to winning, but it's like nah, lol, we win. It was a little disappointing, but it was a really fun match up to that point.
It kind of makes sense for the story they're going for, where like Mil Muertes and his crew are like they're the top villains, they're the top dogs, so they got to beat the heroes.
Yeah, so they're done screwing around, and so we're gonna go out full stop, and I get it. It's a little disappointing because again, I legitimately became fans of those guys, so it was a little disappointing that I saw them lose, but at the same time,
Season 2.
What? Well, I know there's going to be Season 2. I know that because they set up that they're going to get the belts back anyway. Besides the point. It was a little disappointing.
And then we got Drago and Hernandez, which we didn't mention Hernandez, but don't worry about it because TNA won't mention him either. So Drago and Hernandez.
Hernandez is weird because, first of all, I think I mentioned Conan like once. Conan doesn't really do a whole lot. He's there as Puma's manager. I guess manager.
And then he dies.
Yeah. Then he just straight up fucking gets.
Oh no! They mentioned he's dead.
Oh yeah, he's just straight up dead. Yeah.
He's actually dead. They kill him. He's fucking dead, dude. Holy shit!
I'm surprised it wasn't Vampiro who did that, considering how fucking pissed off he was about Conan existing.
Oh, dude, fucking Vampiro felt like I was like, Jesus, you could just shoot on this guy at any second or something. Like, granted.
Granted, everything he said about Conan was right within the context of the storyline, but like Vampiro doesn't know that. He just fucking hates Conan. I mean, I get it. Of course, you know, he does legitimately hate Conan. I mean, well, okay, he used to legitimately hate Conan, quote unquote, but either way, like, I mean, who knows, obviously. Still, so like, Hernandez is just kind of like, he's another guy who just shows up to fill space where, like, Conan calls him in as, like, a sidekick for some fucking story arc bullshit. I think it was, like, a match against Cage or whatever that he needed help with Puma or something. I don't remember. And then Hernandez just kind of sticks around because he's got nothing to do. And they give him a thing with Drago, who, by the way, has the obligatory loser leaves town match. That he immediately comes back from, pretty much. Well, I think he's gone for a pretty long time, actually, but he still obviously comes back. They give him a thing with Hernandez, and they don't really do anything with it. He's just like, dude, dragons are gay, haha. Drago sucks. Like,
that's basically the storyline. Hernandez is like,
it.
oh, dragons are stupid. They don't.
Yeah, he's like, dragons are real, dude. You fucking suck. I hate you. And
yeah, dragons aren't real. He says that the episode after, no, like a couple episodes after, we see fucking Drago literally shoot fire.
Yeah, he gets the fucking acid spit attack, and like he literally said, like, he starts flying and setting shit on fire and all this crap. It's like, yeah, dragons aren't real, haha.
Dragons aren't real, lol. So
I guess the audience took exception to that because I guess he got like legitimate, like, we fucking hate you kind of heat. So Dario, who is an insane man, decides to come up with the single most baffling match concept I've seen that wasn't created by Vince Russo, which was...
How do you know?
Well, I know because...
He came in for like a day, like he was just on the set, and like, hey, yo, Robert, I got a really cool match for you, bro.
Yeah, he called up Chavo, because Chavo was also a producer. He's like, hey, Chavo... I got this great idea for a match, bro. What we're gonna do, bro, is we're gonna have some fans from the Twitters, bro, and we're gonna give them belts, and they're gonna hit the wrestlers outside of the ring, bro. Like they're gonna beat up the wrestlers, like, for reals, bro, outside of the ring, bro. It's gonna be so cool, bro. And then Chavo hangs up, and then he's like, you know what? Actually, that does sound pretty neat. So Dario,
and then they do it.
So Dario, the madman, gets a fucking bunch of guys from Twitter, gives them leather belts, and is like, whenever anybody falls out of the ring, beat the shit out of them with these belts. And it's like, well, it's such an entertaining idea for a match, because I love it. He's like, we're going to get the fans in on this one. And when by fans, I was expecting, oh, they're just going to call random people out from the crowd. But again, that was assuming the crowd's real. No, they get a bunch of shills from Twitter and podcasts and whatever. But
it's even worse because they kind of shoot on Hernandez.
They do, but
because nobody hits Drago.
But that's the thing, is like, they do. That's like an actual in storyline kind of thing. Is that like, yeah, we're here because you shit talk our bro Drago. Of course we're going to do it against you and not him. We're on his side.
It's just so fucking funny to me because nobody hits this guy and they're all just fucking beating the shit out of Hernandez.
And it's the funniest thing, too, because, like, even, like, when Hernandez is pitched the match idea, he's like, you're going to need more insurance, I almost said Drago. You're going to need more insurance, Dario, because you know I'm going to beat the shit out of them when they do that. And then you even have, like, Stryker, and they get some other guy, because obviously, you know, Vampiro was doing his match at that show, so they had some other guy filling in on commentary. He was okay. I thought he was alright. He was a little bit too much. But either way, so like and again, they're like, you know, everybody's signed insurance waivers. You know, the wrestlers are free to fight back. You know, it could get dangerous. And then the second Hernandez gets hit with a belt, he's like, oh, okay, ow, that actually hurt. And then he fucking pusses out from ever doing anything to anybody, which is funny. It's like, what are the fucking belts made of, kryptonite or something, bro? Come on.
Well,
like,
I mean, his nickname is the Mexican Superman, so.
That's true, yeah. I mean, granted, like, sure, getting hit with a leather belt for real hurts like shit. At the same time, like, it's funny how much, like, he builds up, like, oh, I'm not gonna let these fucking punk fans with belts hurt me. I'm such a badass. And then he gets hit once, and he immediately pushes out of ever trying to do anything.
Dude,
like,
I'm not gonna lie. A couple of times I was watching it, right? Because they say these are the fans who are gonna hit him, right? And I'm like, you say that? I'm gonna fucking look at this with a magnifying glass and just see any time that Hernandez gets legitimately pissed, like, yo, you're hitting me too fucking hard. I was like hyper focused. It's like, all right, where is it? And there was a couple of times where it did look like they're hitting him a little. They're hitting him a little hard.
I mean,
like, there was this one chubby guy in a red shirt.
Course,
I think he was holding back.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were obviously, hitting him for reals. You could tell by the end where he's fucking redder than a tomato with all the welts on his head.
Oh, God.
At the same time, like, yeah, obviously they're not going like full hog on it, because that like this guy would probably actually beat the shit out of him.
Have you seen this guy?
I mean, yeah.
He's fucking ginormous.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Funny enough, I've met this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I met this guy when they came down here when he was still in TNA. I mean, I was like 13, but even then, dude, this guy was fucking massive.
Oh yeah.
So shit, this guy could kill you.
He could, yeah.
But it was just so funny to me because, like, I'm watching these guys and I'm like, all right, which one of them is gonna take the liberty of hitting him like legit really hard? I'm watching here.
I know I would have done it if I was there. I definitely would have done it. Man, I don't give a shit. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it, Hernandez?
Local Boston man killed by Hernandez.
Yeah.
Hernandez statement: "Fucker hit me with a belt." I can totally see it. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I deserve it, of course, but
You know what's funny is that they kind of foreshadowed this because because in one of the episodes he kind of just grabs some random dude and rips his belt off.
That is true. He does do that.
So after night 1, we got night 2. So first we got Johnny Mundo versus El Patron because they're just feuding now.
Yeah, that feud kind of comes out of nowhere. That I'm gonna be honest, that wasn't the worst match of the show. I think it was like the second worst match of the show.
Yeah, but it's fun because we had.
Yeah, it wasn't like a bad match. Of course, it's just unlike every other match on that show, both before and after. Well, and with one exception, like they don't really bring a whole lot new to the table, either of them.
No,
the match is very much just a standard match between the two, and it's all right. Again, they're both pretty good. They don't both put out a good match. It's just like what makes this like headline worthy? What makes this
why? Because again, Ultima Lucha is basically the WrestleMania. So why is this in Mania?
Exactly.
But
like,
I mean, hey, look,
like
we got Melina.
Match,
we got Melina on here, fresh off Batista's cock. So.
Yeah. So like the only exciting thing that happens is the borderline dusty finish we get, and like that's it. It's whatever.
I mean, hey, at least we got Johnny getting his fucking brain splatter all over the fucking building.
It is true,
which is weird. That actually kind of caught me off guard. How bloody they got that. I was like,
yeah, that was kind of surprising too, because like that wasn't really like that hardcore. They didn't really go like that much harder than they would normally. So
yeah, because he throws him to the build. He throws him to the window because hey, that happened with he's just giving
he did that to
Patron.
So it makes
and
sense,
like that,
so
comeuppance. But like then you see him like fucking. I don't know if that was a real like cut job or if he was using like a blood capsule because that was a lot of fucking blood, dude. Like Jesus.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, absolutely.
Then we get Pentagon versus Vampiro, who we've already talked about their Cerro Miedo match, which is just fucking awesome.
Yeah, which was one of the highlights. And again, if you had told me that I would be excited for a match like this going into this, I would not believe you. But I was genuinely excited for it, and I was genuinely hyped for it. I thought it was a great match, even though it wasn't like a real wrestling match.
Sometimes that's all you need.
That's all you need, yeah.
And then Phoenix defeats the Jobbers and Big Rick for the Gift of the Gods Championship, which we've already explained It's basically they're trying. You know what? They're basically fighting for Dragon Balls.
Basically, because
it's kind of weird when you think about it.
Because Dario straight up says like, once you've used it, the belt resets, all the medals go away, and everybody fights for it again. Like fucking Dario was explaining it when he first showed out the belt. He's like, the day before the finale show, and he finally explains what the big prize is because he's an asshole. And like he's explaining this, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because he's just fucking rambling about what this belt is for. It's like, is this like actually magic? What the fuck? Like it took until like Stryker and Vamp explained what it did. Later on, I was like, oh, okay.
See, I got it. I got it. Like, it's supposed to be like a literal gift of the gods. Like, oh, you have fought for this championship. All of the gods are going to grant you this wish. But see, I thought it would have been more interesting if it was just like a literal wish. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the Phoenix, you've won. What do you want with your gift of the gods championship? Oh, let me think about it. And then like, in a month, he'll trade it in. He's like, give me $1 million. Or give me this, or give me that.
Obviously, of course, they're going to do it for, give me the title shot, and I'm going to get a cheap win, as they always do. But I thought, that was a weird thing where they, like, he explains it, and it's not exactly the most coherent. And then when you have somebody who isn't a complete crazy man explain it, it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense now.
To be fair, I don't even think Dario Cueto knew what the fuck he was saying.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure he knew. I'm pretty sure he's just like, I just found this in my closet. Fuck. Let's make a prize out of it. I'm bored. He was like that a lot.
Cueto.
He was just like, Dario was just like, I'm bored. It's time for a gimmick match.
I'm bored and rich.
Let's have a ladder match. Let's do a mask versus mask match. Just completely out of the blue. Because I'm an asshole.
But like I like the idea of the Gift of the Gods Championship. I like the idea because shit, dude. They basically tell you it's magic by how the medals actually slap into the belt. It's obviously a magnet, but it's like, oh my god, the magic is pulling the medals in. It's like, Vampiro, stop trying to sell this. It's like, Vampiro, we know it's a magnet. Oh, but fucking magnets, how do they work?
Vampiro would, believe that, of course, because he's an insane person, and also is like, he's like Juggalo adjacent anyways, so. He would probably
wasn't
say
he like an owner of JCW?
I think he was.
So there you go. Where's the Fago?
Nowhere near me, thankfully. Fucking stuff's disgusting.
I've never had the stuff, so thank God.
Listen, AJ, let me tell you. Drinking Fago is like drinking fucking rust. It is it's one of the most disgusting things I've ever consumed in my life.
You know what? You say that, now I actually want to try it just to see, because that's the thing, I don't think it's actually sold in Texas. I don't think it's sold anywhere in Texas.
You would think. I don't even remember where I found it. I don't think I found it. I think like my brother, because my brother was like a shitty Homestuck fan in like 2010 when Fago was like a meme for Homestuck fans.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like there was a point where Homestuck and Juggalos just intertwined.
Well, they did. AJ, I don't know how much you know about Homestuck, but the Insane Clown Posse is a major part of the Homestuck canon. That's not even a joke. I don't like. You said that. I was like, oh my god, do I have to explain?
Oh no.
No. Yeah, like they're not like I've never read Homestuck. I've only read like half of like the first like month of it. But I know this from osmosis because Homestuck fans are the worst people on the internet, and this is an internet we share with fucking bronies.
It's the internet we share with fucking trained people, dude.
Exactly. But yeah, the Insane Clown Posse are a major part of Homestuck canon, and like Fago was like a big thing with them for a while.
They take Fago showers?
No, just like Fago because Juggalos, because the gray face paint and the troll shit. It's basically just Juggalos on a whole new level.
So what you're saying is that Homestuck was like a Juggalo fan fiction. They got embarrassed to say it was Juggalo fan fiction.
Not. Look, we're not going to talk about Homestuck anymore. All right. Listen,
I don't want to talk. Look, I'm afraid already.
The point is about the story is that I only consumed Fago because of its connection to Homestuck, and it's fucking disgusting, and it's not worth your money.
Well, there you heard it here first, folks. I'm never gonna try this stuff because I don't think I can actually buy it, anyways.
No, it's not worth.
Like, I can't buy it locally, and I'm not gonna pay extra for shipping.
No.
Like, fuck that. So next up we got Blue Demon versus Tejano.
And this was the worst match of the show.
Yeah, it was. It was boring.
So this is again a feud that goes back to episode 1 that is also the most confusing feud of the show. So the first,
it's because they couldn't
opens,
make up who like the villain was.
No. So the first episode of the show, there's a match with Blue Demon and Chavo Guerrero. Chavo, whatever. And Chavo loses, but then he decides to be a bitch and cheap shots Blue Demon and sends him to the hospital. And this grievous act of heelishness puts, I guess, just all of Mexico gunning for Chavo Guerrero's back, because they keep saying Mexico is angry at me. I don't care what Mexico thinks, as if Mexico is a singular person. No, I guess just the entire country itself is pissed at Chavo Guerrero because he beat up Blue Demon.
I mean, hey man, I'm like 2 steps away from Mexico, and I can confirm. Literally, you could just hear Mexico just saying "fuck Chavo" over the border. I mean, I've been there.
Yeah,
I heard it.
I mean, you would know.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear it, man. They're just like, man, they're really angry about something.
So like, this leads to like Chavo becoming like a heel for no particular reason at all. He's just evil now, and like this
It's
whole
just
thing
Chavo,
about,
dude.
Yeah, just this whole thing about like fucking Mexico hating him, and it's like it keeps coming up, and it's in like every episode, and it goes fucking nowhere. And then Tejano shows up near the end to take down Chavo after his arc with Alberto has completely, been phased out. And Tejano's like, Mexico is looking for you. No, Mexico is right here. And
I'm Mexico.
I guess Blue Demon took exception to that, because now he's pissed off at Tejano because I am Mexico, not you. And so that leads to them having a match for no real reason. And the match is Blue Demon has the crew, who are now working for Blue Demon for some reason, and are calling themselves the Blue Crew now, which honestly I think was funny. And it's just them beating the shit out of Tejano, and he doesn't even get a chance to fight back. It is just a complete one-sided beatdown of like 4 people beating the shit out of Tejano while Blue Demon watches. And then the most exciting part of the match, when Chavo Guerrero runs in with a chair, what should have been very interesting, but no, he gives the chair to Blue Demon as a way to like make amends, and Blue Demon hits Tejano with the chair, and he gets the pin, and that's it. That's the match.
It's lame.
It was like 2 minutes of watching the same fucking joke villains we've seen up to this point beat up Tejano, and then a random team up with the 2 guys who have been feuding since day 1 just to beat up some random fucking guy.
It was lame. It was just like,
it was
really?
lame
like,
as shit.
Like, I didn't even really get Blue Demon's like motivation.
Like, I don't even know why he was there. Like, he didn't have any reason to be there anymore. His thing with Chavo was like, he's done. He already solved it like 4 episodes before he showed up again.
Not only that, but like, it was a thing of like, so why are you so willing to work with the guy who tried to fucking kill you?
I mean, like, I kind of get it in the sense, like, Chavo is like, oh, Chavo is sucking up to Blue Demon now. He's like, haha, we have a common enemy, don't try to kill me. I want to go home and see my family, He's like, all right, cool, whatever. Mexico, the entire country of Mexico, call off your attack. Yes, sure thing, Mr. Blue Demon Jr., sir. I mean, granted, Blue Demon has that kind of clout where he probably could get the entire country to just
I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? By the time we let this episode out, we'll be the ones getting it.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, like I said, dude, he's no El Santo, but, like, he's close enough where he could probably do something like that. At the very least, like, maybe all of, like, Mexico City.
Hey, man, you don't got to deal with that shit. I do.
No, of course not.
But it's one of the most. One, it's a boring match, and two, it's
hardly even a match.
It feels like this would have been the match they put on before Ultima Lucha, like to set up the big match.
Yeah.
It was bleh. So last match we got, the main event, was Mil Muertes versus Prince Puma, and Mil Muertes fucking murders a guy.
Yeah,
he fucking murders Puma.
This was another surprising one where, like, he fucking, like, the bad guy wins. Like, straight up, like, no, fucking Puma got absolutely humiliated and demolished by Muertes. It was kind of shocking, honestly.
It's kind of cool, honestly.
I mean, it's cool. On one hand, it's cool, but, like it's kind of shocking. Just the big bad guy won. All of the belts are controlled by the villain. Oh no.
I like it though. It's so fucking cool.
Oh, it's a cool setup for the season 2, yeah, but it's kind of surprising.
So, with that, we have the epilogue. So we can just talk about the epilogue real quick. So, we got Aerostar going back into wherever the fuck he's going back to.
He goes into fucking space, I guess.
I like the little sparklers.
Yeah, that was cute. The sparklers
the
were
little
cute.
Sparklers are fucking adorable.
I like how they kind of have him make amends with Drago at the end. It's like, you know what? We both did good. You're fucking bitching. I hope we fight again someday. And then Drago explodes, and then Aerostar also explodes.
Then we got Phoenix, who just rides off in his car. You know, he says, like, yo, I got this really nice car. Just film me.
No, AJ, he doesn't just have any car. He's got a Firebird, bro.
Shut the fuck up, dude. That was lame. I didn't even want to bring it up because it was so lame.
That's literally what it is. It's a Pontiac Firebird.
I know, but I didn't want to bring it up because it was lame as fuck. Like, really, dude?
Of course.
A Firebird? Like, come on.
You know what would make that, like, less cheesy if that was, in fact, just literally actually his car? I mean, you know what?
It probably is.
It probably is. On the other hand, that was probably just something Robert the Spy Kids guy probably just had in his garage, but also at the same time, it probably was actually his car.
He lives the gimmick that hard.
Yeah. I mean, I would too.
I could see that. That'd be so fucking funny, dude. It'd be so fucking funny.
It'd be so funny.
Then we got Pentagon and Vampiro, who's like, Pentagon's just like, what are we doing? And he's like,
it's time
you
to
know,
get dark.
It's time to get crazy. Yeah, I love it.
It's good. It's good. Son of Havoc on Helico and Evilise ride off in the sunset to get their belts back from the zombies. I think that's a fun, nice setup. It's like, no, fuck this. We're done. We're following these guys to the next fight. We're getting our gold back. I think the best part is that Son of Havoc rides bitch on his own motorcycle.
Yeah, he does.
Also, again, like, him and Evilise are a thing again. Maybe, sort of. Not really. But, whatever.
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah. And then, we didn't even talk about the quote-unquote main plot because it's barely there. There's some shit involving Dragon Azteca and
I left this for the end, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So, because this I think this is the last part of the epilogue. So there's this fucking plot line about Dragon Azteca and some fucking lady who just kind of shows up out of nowhere. They have her show up and, like, she's watching matches and, like, ooh, who is this lady? Why is she here? You know, like, who fucking cares? Like, how do we know she's just not some lady who's just standing in the aisle
just
like a
some jobber?
Yeah. And then they introduced this fucking plot about Dario Cueto killed my family, and now I'm here to get revenge. And it is literally just introduced, no foreshadowing, no building up, whatever. It's just Dario Cueto murdered my family, and I'm here to get revenge. And I want Dragon Azteca to train me in the way of Lucha. Okay, all right, whatever.
They just did it because Robert Rodriguez saw Kill Bill.
I mean, that's probably it.
Granted, it's a fun little thing to watch because it's like, oh wow, they got all these cool little vignettes of her fighting and they're training her and everything, and then they kind of just make this twist of just like, no, it was not my brother Matanza who killed your family, it was Dragon Azteca. Oh my god!
Dun dun dun. I mean, you know what? That's an obvious twist. I mean, like, they do the obvious twist of, oh, the villain, didn't kill your parents. Your mentor killed your parents because your parents were actually evil the whole time. Like, okay, I haven't seen that done in, like a year and a half at least. So,
and then
whatever.
she kills Dragon Azteca,
and then she just fucking betrays Dragon Azteca and kills him for no reason at all. Like, I mean,
look, we couldn't get the actor back.
Well, I mean, it's fine. We have a new Dragon Azteca. So Dario's just like, oh yeah, my brother who like actually eats people and is locked up in a cage and is insane and can't actually speak and is like, he's like, I don't even think he's human. I think he's like a vegetable, like literally like a vegetable, not like medically. Like I think he's actually like a plant. Yeah, he didn't kill anybody. I mean, he killed that one guy, but he didn't kill anybody. It was this guy. It was your secret mentor, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
huh?
Whatever.
And she's just like,
it's fine.
Okay, I believe you. I mean, granted, like, does Dragon Azteca even be like, yes, I did it, but I had a reason. I didn't want to tell you. Blah.
He
blah,
doesn't
blah.
even get a chance.
No, Dario's just like straight up like, yeah, he killed your parents, but also your parents were the triad, so your parents were actually like literally criminals. I'm like, she's just like, oh, okay, I believe you. And like,
and then she kills him.
She just fucking kills Dragon Azteca. Like, I thought they were gonna do like, they were gonna do the thing where, Dario leads Dragon Azteca into a trap, and like, all right, here, my new disciple, go ahead and kill your old master, and we'll run off into the sunset. And they were gonna do the fake out where she leads up to thinking it so she can escape and turn it around on him. No, she just fucking murders him. He's just dead.
I thought it was going to be a thing of like she hits him in a way that like just makes him seem dead because Dario didn't check.
No. I mean, granted, he might be dead. I mean, we don't know.
For all we fucking know, next season it's like, oh, Drew Dragon Aztecas.
Oh my god, I'm seeing double. There's 4 Dragon Aztecas.
But then they bring in, they take Matanza, who's just this big hulking monster that we don't see yet. They throw him into the fucking van. They're just like, all right, Matanza, come on, let's get up on the van.
Yeah. So after Mil Muertes wins all of the gold, Dario's just like, we need to get the fuck out of here. So they steal all the shit from his office, including his mystery Red Bull, for some reason. I mean, like,
yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's going to play a role.
Did I miss something? Because he runs back on it and like they pause on him grabbing. He's looking around, he being all shifty, and they got the dramatic sting. I'm like, dude, it's just a fucking paperweight. Like, I get it, it's a cool paperweight. But what the fuck?
I'm pretty sure it means something. We're gonna find out it means something.
Probably. And then they're literally just driving off with Dario's like mentally handicapped super monster brother he's in like a horse trailer. He's in like the trailer you have like horses in when you put them on the highway.
Actually, my brother, he did not kill anyone. He just has Down syndrome.
Oh, that's why he makes him wear the mask.
Oh shit, dude.
So yeah, this chick who I don't even think we learned her name. I don't even think we learned her name. She's just evil now for no good reason.
We don't even know if she's like fully evil now.
We don't even know. She decides to fucking run off with Dario for no reason at all.
And where he's going, I don't know.
No, he's got another temple, I guess. Except we see him back in the old one again because I guess he forgot his wallet or whatever in the old one.
Dude, he forgot the red light.
Off.
He needs that
true.
red light. He put a really good deposit down for that shit.
Yeah. And then we get Dragon Azteca's other minion who wasn't even interesting enough to be able to be seen on camera. Now he's Dragon Azteca for no reason. And then he spray paints like a big question mark on the billboard, and that's it. That's the ending.
Well, see, I know why it's there.
Well, I mean, because he's the Riddler, of course. I mean,
no, I mean, do you actually no? We're gonna watch season 2. I shouldn't tell you.
I mean,
so.
I'm guessing because I kind of when I was like reading a little bit on Wikipedia before I had started watching, like they kind of change up the set design. So I guess it's gonna be like, where is Lucha Underground next kind of thing. So I guess that's what the idea is. But
no, it's supposed to be somebody.
Okay, well I don't want to know then either way, but
yeah,
either way, like it was kind of like a little bit of a disappointing ending because like the plot like barely existed up to that point, and then we're just like, oh, okay, here's the climax. Did you know what was going on? Because we did.
Oh, but I mean, see, that's the thing. I feel like they really wanted to go harder with the plot, but they didn't. They felt like we don't want to alienate people too fast. Like we don't want to make it seem like too fast of we're just showing all this shit off. Because if you do, you can make people be like, isn't this still supposed to be a wrestling show though? I mean,
yeah, I think that's the thing is that with the 1 hour time limit on the episodes, they didn't have much time outside of the matches to be able to do that. Because otherwise, you'd have to have every match be like 10 minutes maybe, and then you have every other like 5 minutes or so you have like a backstage segment. Because you also can't have like the backstage stuff with your wrestlers and setting up all the other plots and, you know, like interview segments and stuff. You can't do that while also doing your ongoing plot line and stuff. And it becomes a little hard to juggle, especially with the time limit there. Yeah. So it's either you fuck over the wrestling and have the matches be just super short and boring, and then you have too much focus on the show, you know, the story, or you pay more attention to the wrestling because this is, of course, a wrestling show. But then your big dramatic story, all this, fancy, choreography and set design and cinematography goes to waste because you don't really get to use too much of it.
See, I think there's a way you can balance it. I think there's at least some way you can balance it a bit better.
There's definitely a way they could have balanced it a little bit better, but they do a decent job. But it's just there's a lot left lacking that I think is a little disappointing.
What do you call it? I think, because like towards the end, I mean, I think you noticed it as well. They started doing a lot more backstage choreographed fights too, where they had Cage and the Mac fighting. They had obviously the Asian chick and Dragon Azteca. Who else did they do this with? They did it with someone else, I remember, and it was actually like pretty good looking one.
They had like a really short one with the trio team of Havoc and the team who don't actually have a team name against Muertes' Mooks.
Okay, yeah.
And then they had like a shitty like CG lightning effect for no good reason.
Because it's funny.
Because it is. Like there's a couple, especially near the end, yeah, and those are pretty good. But at the same time, it's like there's not enough focus on the backstage stuff to be like to understand the plot. But at the same time, like you focus too much, and then you lose out on the actual wrestling. And then there's not enough actual wrestling in your wrestling show, Russo. And then we have another problem. Bro.
But again, it's one of those things where I think there's a way. I think there's a way to juggle it, and maybe once we get into season 2, it'll be better. I have a feeling it'll be better.
I think with Ultima Lucha, the final one, which was double length, I think that one was good because they had enough time to actually really kind of finally show the backstage stuff they had been lacking. And I think like a longer time slot or just like longer episodes in general would be more beneficial to the show, where not even necessarily like like an hour, add an extra half hour onto an episode or so. Not counting commercial, that's an extra like 15 minutes or so or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be, I think, enough time to give them enough time to kind of do a lot of the backstage stuff and really kind of flesh out the plot more, while also they still have time to dedicate a really long matches for, and you're not losing anything. Granted, obviously, we don't know if, the later seasons do have longer episodes or not, so maybe they do, maybe they don't. We'll see.
Only one way to find out
is to watch it eventually.
I mean, who knows? Maybe, God, could you imagine the wheel ends on it again?
God, I'd go out and buy a fucking Mega Millions ticket because I'd be feeling so lucky right now.
Right. So,
right?
Before we get into the wheel and before we get into our final thoughts, Jay, shall we do our 5 matches, our top 5 matches?
And by our, he means his, because I didn't bother writing down a list of 5 matches.
Ha! So yes, my 5 matches.
I didn't think it was gonna come up, so I didn't think to write it down.
How did you not think this is gonna come up?
I don't fucking know.
It's wrestling.
I mean,
so
fucking what? You don't ever ask me what was your top 5, fights in fucking Biscuit Sentai T Ranger or whatever the fuck.
Because all of it sucks.
You never ask me this kind of question. That's fair. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, tell me one fight in Tokusatsu in the past like 3 years that you can actually remember.
I can remember a couple. There's that one with anyway.
There's that one with the guy in spandex. There's that one where the guy said Hanshin.
Hanshin Tigers. Oh man, are we finally gonna get the baseball?
No, we're gonna rewatch Agito with those what was it? The Toku subs where it's like Hanshin.
Oh.
Dude, I kind of want to watch it just to see how bad it's fucked. Because like those are like the main ones we see, but I want to see like what else did they fuck. So my top 5 matches. Number 5. These aren't really in any crazy order, but So number 5, Aztec Warfare, because I love the idea of Aztec Warfare. It's basically a Royal Rumble, but the only way you can get out is by pin or submission. No DQ, false count anywhere apparently. Great shit.
Allegedly.
Good shit. It's such a good evolution of the Royal Rumble match. Like, I mean, I know why they don't do it in WWE because they have like 50 million people under contract, but like, as an idea, it sounds awesome, and it is awesome.
No, so yeah, I mean, like it's a nice natural extension of the classic battle royale type match of, you can just win because your opponent was clumsier than you. No, you actually have to show that you have skill over 30x amount of guys or whatever.
And I like it more because it's not for a title shot; it's for the fucking title.
Yeah.
So, and if anything, if they keep this idea for the next season, it kind of adds a bit of intrigue where it's just like, oh, can the champ hold on to the belt? Can you win Aztec Warfare and stay champion? Like, it adds that bit of tension. Number 4 is Angelico versus Havoc, the one where he wins and the one where he dumps Ivelisse. I love this match because it's basically the culmination of all of Havoc. And it like, Havoc, his promo against Ivelisse, his match with Angelico, and just the crowd. If this crowd really is not a paid crowd and they were just that loud, holy shit, they were into this match, and it was so damn good.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Number 3, The Crew versus Angelico, Havoc, and Ivelisse's ladder match. That shit was fun.
It was a really good ladder match.
My favorite part, I don't care what anyone says, call me a spot monkey, but fuck it, dude. And Angelico doing that drop kick off of Dario's fucking office, fucking mental.
Oh my god, every time somebody did a spot from the top of like the office or the top of the arena down to the bottom, that was always a great hype moment. I know like Aerostar did it from like the tippy top of the arena down to the bottom, and he fucking got back up pretty much immediately.
It's that adrenaline, dude.
Yeah.
You don't feel it now, but you'll feel it tomorrow. So, number 2, the Cero Miedo match, because it's just fucking brutal. And my number 1 match, and I know Jay already knows what this one is, grave consequences, because it was so. Because at the time, this is before Sierra Miedo, it was so different and it was so brutal. But not only that, but it felt like with the Sierra Miedo match, the brutality there was a point to it. But with this one, it felt like there was more of a point. Like there was a reason why they really wanted this to be fucking violent. And of course, Phoenix winning and that final shot of him with his mask ripped apart and his face just oozing blood.
Yeah, and as they carry off Muertes in the coffin and everything. That was a really good one. Yeah.
Just the setup of the match and the set, like when they're bringing the coffin out, it's like, oh, that's fucking great. But yeah, those are my 5 matches. So we'll jump into our final thoughts, and I'll give it to Jay first.
Honestly, I'm surprised this kind of experiment hasn't been tried since then. The mixture of the classic wrestling show with the more dramatic, like, TV drama kind of backstage, like, actual story elements. Like, it'd be like if you took SmackDown but then spliced in clips of, like, Breaking Bad, like, into the time, between matches. That's basically what this is. And I'm surprised nobody's ever tried to do it, because granted, they're a little bit rusty at it. Obviously, being new to the kind of gimmick, they haven't worked out all the kinks to it yet. There are a lot of flaws with the presentation, but they really do really well with it. And I'm really honestly shocked that I haven't seen this beforehand, and I kind of want to see more of it. I kind of want to see more like this. The matches are all really good. A lot of them kind of blur together, especially near the middle, like I mentioned. Again, due to low cast and kind of just like a mixture of, like, bad matchups as well. But I mean, it's not like there aren't many. There's 1 or 2 matches where, like, I kind of hated, but there's no matches where, like, I'm like, ugh, I'm dreading seeing these guys fight. Even, like, the Jobbers, I loved seeing the Jobbers, because even the Jobbers were entertaining. I was always excited to see whenever Dario Cueto brought out a new dumb fucking gimmick match. Or, oh, what the fuck is Pentagon going to do today? What the fuck is, Mil Muertes? Or what's the Crew going to destroy? Or how's Big Rick going to fuck somebody up? Or whatever. I was always paying attention, watching for more. And a lot of the presentation was flawed, and there was a lot of problems with the production. But overall, it was a very, very enjoyable show, and I kind of wish they did a little bit more with it, and I kind of wish this was done a little bit more, because this hit that itch that I've been, a lot of people who kind of, not even just wrestling in general, but this is kind of like, this is the element that a lot of shows are missing. Like, you want there to be a wrestling tokusatsu show. This is how you do it. This is how you would do it. Is you would extend the host segments to be, that's your show, that's your plot, and the fights are the wrestling matches. They are a real wrestling match. You just have a real real quote unquote crowd, and the guys in your ring are real wrestlers, but it is a scripted match as part of a TV show, as an ongoing plot, and the victor of the match has legitimate consequences for your plot. And that is such an interesting idea for a kind of a show, and it's such a nice blend of genres that I'm genuinely surprised it hasn't been done before, or really, well, before or after it, really. I mean, sure, there was more seasons, but as far as I'm aware, no other kind of show really did that. And I guess that's kind of a budget thing as well, because you can't, because a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff is so heavily scripted and, so heavily reliant on that kind of post-production cinematography, you can't really do it as live as, like, a normal wrestling show. So I kind of understand there. So that's kind of like a budget thing. You can't really do that unless you've got, like, a Robert Rodriguez or, somebody else, a full television network backing your production. So it's understandable why it hasn't been done before, but I really wish it was, because I want to see more like this.
So I'm gonna piggyback off what he said. So it's funny watching this show, because anybody who watches wrestling now knows they have cinematic style matches. They got the Boneyard match, they got I believe Stadium Stampede was cinematic. They had Firefly Funhouse. They have a bunch of cinematic matches nowadays, but there's a difference between cinematic matches and a cinematic show. And I like this idea because, like Jay said, this is the logical goal of if you wanted a tokusatsu show that was a wrestling show. You have the backstage stuff, looks fun. Again, like you said, production's kind of shoddy, but even then, I kind of enjoy that because, well, one, that's just Robert Rodriguez's style, and two, that's just it kind of fits because this is supposed to be a shitty little fight club basically, and I like that. I like the ideas that this brings to the table, and like Jay said, I really wish that there were more people who wanted to take this risk. I know somebody like a Vince McMahon or a Tony Khan will never do this. They'll never try this. They'll never go out of their way to try and make an entire show like this, which is a shame because, and like we've seen before, there are 4 more seasons left, and after that, nobody's really tried anything. MLW is kind of teased that they're bringing something back because apparently they've actually hired the actor who played Dario Cueto for something called Aztec Underground. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but apparently that's a thing. So there's a bunch of stuff, and maybe by this episode we'll be outdated, but there's a bunch of stuff in the show that I wish they would bring back more. And it's not even just the cinematic stuff in the back, just the feel of the show. Like this show feels, you know what? It's like a controlled version of ECW, where the crowd is really into this show. They really want to be a part of the show, and it just feels intimate and grungy. But you don't have the risk of the original ECW crowds, where someone probably has a gun. Like you don't have that.
You don't need like legitimate armed security because you don't know if your wrestlers are actually going to die for real, both because of your actual wrestlers and because of your audience,
or because of New Jack. But
or because primary like 80% of the security is there just because of New Jack. I don't know how that man stayed employed as long as he did.
I don't know how that man stayed alive this long.
I don't know how he is still alive either.
So
I don't know how he hasn't gotten himself killed just being New Jack, really.
Basically. But like I'm saying, like the entire idea of the show is fantastic. And I really do hope that in the future we can do season 2, because I've only heard that this show gets better. I've only heard that this show constantly gets better.
I was trying not to spoil myself on who was coming in, or what other wrestlers came in. I kind of accidentally spoiled myself on one really big name guy who comes in during season 2, and I'm not going to say who. You might already know, but I'm not going to say who to keep it as a surprise. So
it's one of those things where I really love everything about this show, just the idea of it. And like we said, it's flawed. There's parts of it that I feel could be better, but if you want a tokusatsu show that is a wrestling show, motherfucker, watch Lucha Underground. You will not be disappointed. Because one, these guys are actual luchadors, and they know what they're doing, and it's fucking amazing. Two, it looks fun. And three, you're not going to be bogged down by TV Asahi's bullshit pee-pee poo-poo parental guidance. You're going to get blood. You're going to get violence. You're going to get some crazy fucking shit from this show, and it is fantastic. I recommend it fucking to everybody. Even if you don't like wrestling, just give it a shot, man. Like, like I get it. Like, some people will be like, I don't like wrestling. Phil doesn't like sports because he doesn't do them. But at least try it.
I don't do sports, and I like wrestling. Wrestling's barely a sport.
Well, in a sense,
it's kind of a sport. But anyways, the point is that again, to use Phil as an example, Phil was objecting to even wanting to have to even be in the same show as this show, and we got him to watch, and he was enjoying it. I mean, he just stopped for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm not him. He's not here, so we can't. He can't put his own side on the argument, but it's not his fault. He just kind of stopped. I mean, it is his fault. I am at that point when I am out of drink and I don't have anything to counteract drink. It is St. Patrick's Day after all. Anyways, what was I saying?
Phil got filtered, like we were saying.
Yes, I guess Phil got Phil iltered. So, but yeah, I mean, even like a non-wrestling fan will find something entertaining to watch in this, and that's really, really, I think one of the highlights is just go and check it out. You know, even when just watch one episode. You don't even start at episode 1. Just watch a episode at random. You know, obviously not like the last episode. Don't be that jackass.
Yeah.
But you will more than likely find something to keep you interested or keep you watching.
Yeah, because it's like we like let's be honest, like they've got pretty much everything for everybody. They got technical, they got high flyers, they got brutals, they got comedy, they got big guys, they got small guys, they got hot chicks, they got ugly chicks, they got fat chicks, they got fat guys. They got literally everything for everybody.
Fat guys dressed as fat chicks.
You leave Pimpy alone.
I like them. I
like Pimpy.
Let's not kid ourselves though.
But like I'm saying, like this show literally does have something for everyone to enjoy. Everyone. And every single show, they try their best to put something everybody enjoys as well. Shit. I didn't really care for Son of Havoc, but that he got me, you know? I thought Masquerades would be just a midget. And then motherfucker got me into him because he's so fucking awesome. Aerostar, Drago, everything about it just mixes really well. And even when they have matches, like Jay and I said, even when they have matches that don't really work, or it's just two people who don't really work well, there's at least something that leads into them working with someone well, or maybe even having another match and it blows the second one out of the water because now they have experience with each other. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. And that's all I got to say about that.
All right.
I love this show. It's a great show.
It was really good. It was really good.
So now let's see what the show's next show. Wheel
of Showality. Turn.
I haven't spun this thing in about a month, I think.
Give us a.
Oh no, it's Ghost Sager. I'm gonna say that one day. That's gonna actually happen.
Say that as a joke, and then it's gonna actually be. God, imagine if it is like right now. I'd be so fucking mad at you. I would kill you.
I would kill me. Because I don't want to do Ghost Sager.
I don't want to watch it.
Nobody does, except for weirdos on Facebook who think it's good. But then again, that's.
There are definitely worse Sentais we could do, but.
Are there?
There are definitely worse Sentais than Ghost Saber.
Are you sure?
I am positive, yes.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Since I need some proof on that. I've seen Ghost Sager.
I mean, I don't know. We could do
Time Ranger. I'm just trying to tempt fate here.
I'm trying to say one that I
mean, it's not like we can do Loop Hat, right? You know, I heard that one was garbage.
That one was garbage.
I heard it was garbage. I've never seen Loop Hat.
I watched a few episodes of it. I was kind of into it until they introduced the the seventh Ranger technically, until they introduced him, and he fucking ruined the show.
I heard that they just couldn't do the juggling thing really well because they had to juggle both of them.
Speaking of juggling, Q Ranger had problems with the juggling, but they at least learned how to do it. Loop Hat couldn't do it. Loop Hat could not do it at all.
Loop Hat was suck.
The problem is that Loop Hat's gimmick is inherently impossible to juggle without just one side getting completely demolished. So
that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a shame. But I mean, hey, the writer's now writing a normal Sentai team again, so hopefully the Zenkaiger's had a huge following just 2 episodes in, so I mean, clearly there's something going right there.
It's gonna be it's gonna turn into fucking Kyoryuger 2 or something.
No.
Could you imagine if it turned into Kyoryuger 2? I would laugh.
We already had that. That was Q Ranger. But Q Ranger was decent, so.
Was it?
You know what? I actually liked Q Ranger by the end. It had a lot of problems, but I think it's worth a watch.
I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna tell you you're fucking wrong.
Well, we'll see what the fucking wheel decides.
I don't even think Q Ranger's on the wheel, dude.
I'm surprised it's not. I'm surprised they didn't put it on there.
I legit do not think it's on the wheel. Hold on. I'm actually. It's because it's lagging for some reason the wheel's actually really lagging.
Of course it is. When is it not?
I don't. Whoever makes wheeldecide.com, because that's what I use. Can you like make your website not garbage? Or maybe it's just my computer. I don't know.
I mean,
which
it might be your
I doubt.
computer. It might also be because you always have like 80 different things on the fucking wheel.
Oh, you think it's like, oh man, there's too much shit on the wheel.
Yeah,
I
think it might be just because we have too much on the wheel. Because a few times I do it, I never put like any more than like 10 on there, and I usually have fine. I'm usually fine.
Oh, I mean, I think we're actually at the limit of 100. So.
Yeah, that's probably why it's lagging.
Oh, well, that's a shame now, isn't it? Let's see here. All right, it's slowing. It's slowing. God, I'm gonna be really pissed if it just closes out. Chrome. No, fucking Brave. And it is. Well, I guess Armor Hero Season 1.
All right. At least it's on YouTube.
And it's subbed and dubbed. I'm going to watch the dub because
Yeah.
I don't want to watch. I don't want to read.
Well,
All right.
All right. I guess we're doing
Doing
Armor
China.
Hero. Yeah.
Is it Chinese or Korean?
Oh no, this is a different show. Yeah, this is Chinese. I was thinking of something else. This is definitely Chinese. Yeah. All right.
Well, China time.
Yay.
This better be fucking good for 51 episodes, or I'm going to kill someone. Specifically, Rabbit.
Yeah, because I know this is a Rabbit who put it on here because he.
I'm going to
fucking
kill
talked about
Rabbit.
it. I'm gonna kill him first.
I mean, we'll just chop him in half and kill each half.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's time to say goodbye to show. I don't know. I don't want to do China. China sucks. China sucks. So, with that being said, as always, I am Asia. That's Jay.
Good night. I need to drink some water.
Yes, he does, because if not, he's going to end up... Oh, no, you're not nearly as drunk as you were for Justice League. Not nearly.
Well, I'm still awake.
You're still coherent.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we will see you all for Armor Heroes. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this right now. This is not going to take only a week. This is 51 episodes. No, this is 52 episodes, people. This is going to take a while. This is probably going to take a little longer than Lucha Underground, mainly because it's 51 episodes, and we're also doing other videos at the same time, so this is going to take a while to watch. Just so y'all know.
We'll see each other if we don't kill ourselves watching this.
If this, you know what? Maybe it'll be good. Maybe Rabbit for once will be right. Maybe.
Yeah, fucking yeah, and maybe Dwayne McDuffie's gonna come back from the dead and make comics good again.
Oh, dude, that'd be great. So,
It would be
with
good.
that
It's
being
not
said,
gonna happen.
we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ugh.